Well, the late nights have caught up to me, and they caught up to the Phillies as well. The Sports Bash is live at Chickies and Pete's in EHT. I am your host, Mike Gill. Josh Henning is producing today's show back in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. My on-site producer is Pete G. I don't have the same pep in my step today as I did yesterday.
It finally caught up to you, huh?
Well, I mean, the other day you stay up late for the game, and it was a win. It was an exciting win. It felt like a playoff game. Last night felt like a playoff game, the ones that I watched last year and the ones I watched in Arizona. When you couldn't score a run, you're absolutely shut down in the game. And last night was a very interesting game. I saw a number today that I want to throw out there to people and see if it worries people. We were texting last night, our little text chain last night. So Snell's pitching the game last night. Now, Snell generally does not go deep into games. He is like a 5-inning pitcher for them. Generally, at 90 pitches, they will get him out of the game. And if you were watching the game last night, you heard the conversation on the broadcast with Ruben Amaro Jr. and Tom McCarthy. They were both very shocked and surprised that Snell stayed in the game last night. I was a little surprised as well. And listen, they were taking him out of that game. The relief pitcher actually ran onto the field, and they had to tell him to get off the field. So you don't ever see that really happen in that situation. So the pitcher, Blake Snell, basically talked his way into the staying in the game, and he ended up, because he had a couple of walks. And you're like, well, this is why they don't let him go. Generally, the third time around the lineup is when he starts to struggle. He is the guy. For people who look back and all of the analytics and the pitchers and all the decisions that are made, it really started with that Blake Snell in the World Series game. If you remember when he was pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays and they pulled him out of that game in the fifth inning when he was cruising along. So he is like the poster child for this, right? He's been a Cy Young Award winner. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And then last night, he is cruising along. He's got 11 strikeouts. Now, at that point, it was the seventh inning of the game, and the Phillies lineup was at Bryce Harper, which is the number 3 spot. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Had only batted twice. He had not been around the lineup 3 times, and that is generally the big thing for Blake Snell is the third time around the lineup. It just happened that the third time around the lineup for him was in the seventh inning. So they let him go out there. Then he walks a couple of guys with 2 outs, and the Dodgers go to take him out of the game. And he talks his way into staying in the game. And then he gets behind the hitter. Remember, he got behind Otto Kemp,
yeah.
2-0. And then Kemp got a pitch, and he missed it. He got a pitch to hit, and he missed it. And then he got another pitch to hit, and he missed it. And now the count is 2-2. And the next thing you know, he ends up chasing high, and he strikes him out. And you saw how pumped up that Blake Snell was to get that strikeout there. And then, of course, he didn't come back out for the 8th. Then the Phillies, I want to see what everybody thought about this, because the Phillies stick with Jesus Luzardo. Now, Ohtani is leading off the inning.
Right.
Now, Ohtani is left-handed. Luzardo is left-handed. The guy that was coming into the game was going to be Kerkering. Now, you might ask the question, why would you bring Kerkering in? I would imagine one of the reasons why Kerkering was the guy in that spot was 2 reasons. One, Banks probably wasn't available because he threw the night before, and you're losing the game. So you probably don't want to go to Strom while you're losing the game, right? You're down 3-0 in the game. So I imagine the Phillies are saying, look, we'll use Luzardo because he doesn't have to throw 3 batters.
Yeah, that's usually how Topper will play it, with the Strom, with saving Strom.
If Strom, he's not going to use Strom if they're losing.
Yeah.
And if he brought Strom into the game in that spot, he has to use Strom for 3 batters.
3 batters, right.
And he knows coming up after Ohtani is a right-handed batter. So he figures, I'll use Luzardo for the lefty, Ohtani, and then I'll have Kerkering ready for the group of right-handers that's coming up. Well, unfortunately, Luzardo gives up a tater shot to make it 4-0, and at that point, obviously the game is over. They just didn't have any offense going last night. But
And you know what? It is Ohtani. I mean, the guy is an MVP 2 times.
Well, they brought in David Robertson the night before.
Right.
And he cracked a home run off of Robertson. And,
right.
we were texting back and forth. And, somebody was saying, I don't remember if it was you or Rank or somebody was saying, you don't let him face him the fourth time. The problem is he was 0 for 3 with a strikeout. He struck out his third time up. So, he kind of had Ohtani, in check for the night. You're not going to bring – at no point, if you brought a right-handed pitcher in to face him in that spot after you did the night before and he gave up a home run, you can't do that. So I understand the reasoning behind him keeping Luzardo in the game there because of the left-hand the rule where you have to face 3 hitters. He figures instead of wasting one of my left-handed relievers, I'll just try to get one more out with Luzardo. And it didn't work, and it's not why they lost the game. But the reason I bring this whole thing up is because this is the cat and mouse game you're going to get in the playoffs against this Dodger team. And here's the stat that I want to throw up to the people out there. And I don't know if you saw this stat, Pete and Josh, and the people that are listening and watching on the YouTube channel and on the X platform. But here is a stat that I came across this morning from Bob Nightingale. Did you guys see this one?
I try to not read into Bob Nightingale stuff. But.
Well, it's not a rumor. It's not a report. It is a stat. And it is the Phillies win the series against the Dodgers. But they hit 0-54 with 24 strikeouts in 56 at-bats against the Dodgers starting pitching.
Well, good thing baseball is 9 innings long and not 6 innings long.
Well, and I bring all this up because generally in the playoffs, you're going to face the top of their rotation. You did not see Yamamoto in this series. You did not see Glasnow in this series. You did not see Kershaw in this series. You saw Sheehan, but he came in relief and mowed you down. And you saw Blake Snell last night.
And Ohtani.
And he blew you away. So you had an 11 strikeout game against Snell. You got absolutely dominated by Ohtani. You didn't see Yamamoto, who's probably the best of their guys. And you didn't see Glasnow, who, he can be really, really good or he can implode. When you watch that series and say, well, the Phillies won 2 out of 3, I feel pretty good. When I read that stat to you and watch the game last night, does that make you feel any different, PG?
It does not. It does not. Because usually post-game.
You still feel confident that you could beat the Dodgers.
Because to me, postseason games are close to begin with the starters. Both teams have dominant starters. So you get into that Dodger bullpen, I feel pretty good.
Well, it's hard to get in that Dodger bullpen when you don't score a run.
Well, you're going to get into that Dodger bullpen, though, because we saw Dave Roberts last night. The guy does not have any faith in his starters at all. He wanted Snell out of that game. He was on the step.
I don't know what to read that because in that situation, the analytics that the Dodgers play by generally would say he has to come out of the game there. I was pretty shocked. I was joking in our text chain that, he gets 3 chances a year to overrule the analytics.
Right, because people think he's a yes man, and that's why he's
there. Well, it's been well reported that the Dodgers basically are highly analytics. In fact, if you saw the report about Ohtani, it didn't come from Dave Roberts as to why that he got pulled out of the game. It came from Andrew Friedman, the GM, who said, we have a plan, and basically we're going to limit him to about 5 innings. So this is coming from the Dodgers. This is who they are. Andrew Friedman was the GM in Tampa when they took Snell out of the game. And that's when Joe Madden went on that rant and said that the analytics have gotten out of control. If you remember when Joe Madden, he's like, look, I'm an analytics guy. I'm heavy analytics. But it's gotten out of control to where now the general manager is telling me what my lineup is, who I can and can't pitch, and when I can and can't pitch them. But if you watch that Dodger thing last night, I'm very intrigued to see, and this whole series, is Ohtani going to have a longer leash? Is Blake Snell, going to be able to get you to the 7th inning? And if he gets you to the 7th inning, that lessens the amount of bullpen arms that they have to bring into the game. Last night I thought they were in trouble with the combination of Snell pitching, who doesn't generally get you out of the 5th inning. And then the other part of it was their bullpen was taxed. They had pitched a lot of guys on Monday night and Tuesday night. So you figured if they had to go to their bullpen early last night, they were going to be in some trouble.
Roberts was going to. He really wanted to, and he got talked out of it.
He got talked out of it last night. I was pretty shocked by that.
And isn't it funny that Topper shows faith in Luzardo, and he gets burned, although the game was out of hand by then. And then Roberts doesn't want to show faith in Snell, and he gets bailed out by Snell.
Well, listen, and this is the whole thing of where we always want to criticize these guys because they do something that we say we wouldn't do. And if it does or doesn't happen, we deem that they're right or wrong based on the result of what ends up happening. But in that situation, I'm glad, if I'm a Dodger fan, that Rogers showed Snell, hey, listen, you know what? Show me you can do this. Because normally the analytics say, I got to get you out of the game right now. Prove me wrong. Prove the analytics wrong.
That's the type of guy you want starting for you in October, to be honest with you. Right?
Absolutely. Well, this is the thing, too. With all these pitching decisions, the starting pitcher is the starter for a reason. He's usually the better guy. He's the better option. You know, you go to your bullpen, you're now dropping to a lesser pitcher. And that's where, if you're the Dodgers in that spot last night, he is a better option than the guy that was coming into the game. Now, on the Phillies side of thing, I do understand and don't have a huge problem. Now, in a World Series or a playoff situation, see, this is a tough one. I don't know. How would people out there play this, okay? You have Luzardo, who was pitching okay last night. He wasn't great last night. He was good. He wasn't great last night. I wasn't, overly, impressed with him. It wasn't like, what are you taking him out of the game for, or why are you leaving him in the game? He was just okay. 3 runs into the 8th inning last night. You're.
That's who Luzardo is. When he's out there, you're going to have to score runs. You're going to have to score for him. 4 runs, you can't.
Well, he's through 7 innings last night. He gave up 6 hits. He gave up, at that point, he had given up 5 hits and 3 runs. He had 6 strikeouts. Up to that point, he did his job. But I understand the conundrum that they were in that spot with Ohtani leading off and then not wanting to go to Strom when you're losing the game. And also the fact that the pitcher who comes in the game from the bullpen has to pitch 3 batters in a row. So if you bring a left-handed pitcher in the game, let's say they brought in Tim Meza, who's a lefty, he would then have had to stay in the game to face Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez, which I'm assuming the Phillies did not want those matchups. So they figured, let's stick with Luzardo. He gets 1 more batter here. He has pitched well against Ohtani in this game. He struck him out the last time he was up. Let's see if he can get the 1 out, and then he'll come out of the game. We'll go to Kerkering to get the 2 right-handed batters.
Well, Kerkering couldn't do that because he gave up a run and a walk.
Yeah, Kerkering has been
and the game ended 5-0. So they scored another run on top of Ohtani's homer.
Yeah, well, Kerkering has been a little bit of a problem, and we have to start wondering how they're going to play him moving forward here. But you could see how they play it forward a little bit last night. This is why I don't think they wanted to bring Strom in the game, is because they went to Kerkering. And that tells me that Kerkering is the guy that's pitching the lower leverage situations now. You're coming in because we're losing. You're coming in like the night before they went to Robertson. They brought Robertson in the game. Why? Because they were winning the game. And you're the guy that we are putting in a higher situation. So that's how I read into what happened last night. They just had no offense last night. But you take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. You feel good. You're 5.5 up on the Dodgers with, I think, 9 games left to play. So the Dodgers aren't catching you.
The magic number's 4, right, for that 2 seed.
But, guys, back to the original point you were talking about Bob Nightingale. And I was kind of, for a time to squeeze this in here. But, the problem is when you get to the playoffs, Mike, you talked about it a number of times, it's a different game.
Yeah.
And if you're a team, as Bob Nightingale pointed out, that has struggled that much against the starters, guys, it's not just against the Dodgers starters. According to Baseball Reference, the Phillies have over 1,000 at-bats versus starting pitchers versus relief pitchers this year. They have a lower batting average, a lower on-base percentage, a lower slug. They have more strikeouts, by 200-plus more strikeouts than versus relief pitchers. Every number across the board shows the Phillies are a much better team against the opposing team's relief pitchers. So is the strategy just going to be, well, boys, we got to survive the 5-6 innings, get the starter, and hope for the best we get to the bullpen?
It kind of seems that way, right? It's just kind of have your pitching keep you in the game, get into the other team's bullpen, and then become the bullpen bullies. That is a lot of times we've seen them this year. The games have been close. The games have been close. The games have been close. You get into the bullpen, the Phillies have a big inning. They talked about it the night before with Ohtani. You're getting no hit. And then what did Amaro say? All right, let's put up a crooked number here. Now that you're in their bullpen, what do? They put up 6. Is that a strategy? Hope is not a strategy, right? But what it is saying that the numbers are suggesting that they have really good pitching, the Phillies. And if their pitching can keep them in games 1 to 2 runs, that puts you within striking distance to get into the other team's bullpen. Now, what I will say is when you get into the playoffs and you're facing these playoff-level teams, generally the bullpens are better. You're facing more nasty stuff, more nasty left-handers. You know, we say this all the time. Guys who lefty struggle. Guys like Harper and Schwarber who hit really well against lefties during the regular season. But when you get into the playoffs, and now you're seeing an elevated level of left-handed pitcher. You're not facing the bottom of the barrel lefty from the Pittsburgh Pirates. You're getting the top end of the left-handed haul from these playoff teams. And that has been one of the problems with the Phillies, because you have guys like Schwarber and Harper who have hit lefties all year, and then they get into these little series where they're facing the best lefties, and they struggled against them in the Arizona series. We struggled against them in, the series against Houston in the World Series a couple of years ago.
And this is why this is concerning, because if you're a Phillies fan, listen, you may be looking forward to Red October, but at the same time, there's a part of you who's got a little PTSD about what's happened the last 3 years, that this team, every time in the postseason, runs into a pitching staff that they're just swinging and missing it.
Last night's game.
That's the one thing that does concern you. And you hope a guy like Bader can really rejuvenate you and,
he's starting to struggle.
Break that trend.
He's starting to struggle right now. Last night's game, I got to be honest, gave me a little PTSD of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Did it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was watching that game last night, and it felt like every disappointing playoff game that I have watched over the last 3 years.
I mean, they don't have Turner. They don't have Bohm. They didn't have Sosa.
Well, it felt like
it's the last game of that series.
Exactly. Last night felt like the night where it all just caught up to you. You were running on this adrenaline. You were exceeding expectations.
Running off Miller Lite and champagne.
And then you just got hit. You know, it's like the jet lag finally caught up to you, right? It's like, how much longer can you continue to win games with Otto Kemp and Weston Wilson? And, by the way, Nick Castellanos last night. I said, Nick Castellanos has had a lot of bad at-bats. I think the at-bat that he had, his second at-bat last night, or maybe it was his third at-bat last night, was one of the worst at-bats he's had all year, and that's saying something.
You mean when he was flailing like an idiot?
He swung at a pitch that was like bounced 46 feet in front of home plate. I mean, I get it. Snell's curveball was nasty last night.
Not that nasty.
It was 12. Now, Bader looked bad on one of his curveballs, too, later on, where he swung at one, and it wasn't even close. But, you know, Castellanos has just had so many bad approaches and so many bad at-bats. And I said, you know, I'm watching that game last night. He struck out his first time, then he struck out his second time. And, again, I go back to, at this point of the season, I might be more inclined, if I'm the Phillies, to just play Kepler and Marsh against lefties every day the rest of the year, these last 9 games, and just to see if they can get some comfort against them. And possibly, you know, if it were me and I'm, like, doing what's best for the team, I have to consider keeping Castellanos off the playoff roster.
Well,
because other than a right-handed bat off the bench, which, let's be honest, he's not even a great option as a right-handed bat off the bench. Even as a right-handed bat off the bench, that's the only thing that he doesn't have any speed. You're not going to put him out there to play defense in the playoffs. So literally all he is a clogger and a right-handed bat that who is he hitting for in retrospect?
But this goes back to the issues with the organizational philosophy, Mike. We've talked about this numerous times for months now here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. But the fact that this organization is, we want to keep guys involved. We want to keep guys engaged. You know, this whole idea where it's like, well, you know, we believe Castellanos can be a good player. And it's like, well, all this faith and all this belief and all this hoping and, like, it's not helping you win games. It's just creating an environment where you're wondering if you're going to survive and advance.
I don't know if I agree with that. I understand what you're saying, but my point is this. I think in the regular season they're just doing what they're doing to keep people happy, but once the playoffs come, when push comes to shove, they have made decisions in the past. Taijuan Walker got paid $18 million. In the first year that he was here, he was not on the playoff roster. You know, Taijuan Walker has not thrown a pitch in the playoffs in his first 2 years here, and he makes $18 million. So they have made those decisions. Last night, Rob Thompson did say that now this is interesting. It's something we're going to get into on the other side here because the Phillies have shifted their playoff rotation. What is the
by
messaging
the way,
here?
that joke that Rob Thompson told Walker Buehler, that is grade A stuff right
You
there.
like that one?
I really enjoyed that one.
Right up your
It
alley.
was very corny, but it was right up my alley.
609-403-0973 is the text board.
Because it's simple. It's simple. It's easy.
He said he's been holding it for a while.
Yes.
Been holding it for a while.
I bet he has.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube at Mike Gill Show. We are live today over at Chickies and Pete's. We're in Egg Harbor Township today. You know, once a month we come out to Egg Harbor Township to the Chickies and Pete's out here. And I love when you walk in here and you got a nice full bar. Right? You got a bunch of people already hanging out, ready to go, and having a little fun for the Thursday night football game tonight. You also got the Mets and Padres live baseball in action. That's on here. You know how many screens. You can watch TVs from all over the place in here. And one of the things I love about this place is it's a local spot with a great beer menu. They got a great beer menu and all the great food. They got the garage beer, the Kelsey meal that they have going on, the A.J. Brown sweet hot wings. Check those out as well. We're here till 6 o'clock tonight. Stop by, say hello, and don't forget, listen for that sounder today when you hear it. Be caller number 7 at 609-573-3776, and you will be entered to win Eagles-Giants tickets. More information on that coming up. Rob Thompson shifted the pitching rotation for the rest of the year. We'll explain it and what it means. That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
So Friday, we're going to piggyback Taiwan to start. Bueller will piggyback Bueller, so it'll be a Walker Bueller.
Did you think of that before you said it together?
I've been thinking about it for weeks.
Live 97.3 ESPN. That was Rob Thompson last night over at the Comedy Stop.
Hey, listen, he had about a 5-hour plane ride out west. He probably was chewing on that for a while.
He said, I've been thinking about it for weeks.
Yeah.
I don't remember when they signed Walker Bueller, but it was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So maybe he said, you know what would be great? That if I could put Walker Bueller and piggyback him to Taiwan Walker, and we could have a Walker Bueller piggyback. Speaking of the Walker Bueller piggyback, Taiwan Walker will pitch tomorrow night. He'll be the starter, and Walker Bueller will be the piggyback to him. Not a big fan of the piggyback.
Well, the other alternative is Aaron Nola
Well,
on the road.
so this is how the pitching is going to set up the rest of the way here. They did kind of tweak their pitching the rest of the way because they're instead of going to the 6-man rotation, they're going to go back to a 5-man rotation, and Taiwan Walker will now pitch tomorrow night, which was supposed to be Walker Bueller's night. But now it's going to be Taiwan Walker getting the start, which means Aaron Nola will pitch on Saturday. Ranger Suarez will pitch on Sunday. Christopher Sanchez will pitch on Tuesday. The Phillies have an off day Monday. And then Jesus Luzardo will pitch on Wednesday. On Thursday, it'll be Walker Bueller getting the start, and Taiwan Walker will be the piggyback. That will be their final appearances of the season. Then Aaron Nola will pitch on Friday against the Twins. Ranger Suarez will pitch on Saturday against Minnesota. And then the last game of the season is on Sunday, and that will be Christopher Sanchez. Now, why is this the way they did it? Well, if you think about it, Christopher Sanchez will pitch the season finale, which is on a Sunday. The Phillies, which will be at least the number 2 seed, most likely, unless something crazy happens, their first playoff game would be Saturday, October the 4th,
So that's
which means
6 days off.
Christopher Sanchez would pitch on Sunday, and then again he would be the first pitcher on Saturday. So he would be off on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then he would be pitching game 1 on Saturday.
At home. At home.
It will be at home.
Yes.
So he will pitch at home on the 28th, and then he will pitch again at home in game 1 with all that time off in between. Now, Rob Thompson did say last night, whether that game means something or not, Sanchez will pitch in that game. Now, he might not pitch as long. He might just get a quick 3 to 4 innings stint. But he will now pitch that game, which means the way the Phillies pitching is setting up here for the playoffs will be Sanchez in game 1, Suarez, it looks like, in game 2, Luzardo looks like he will pitch game 3. Why do we know that? Because last night, Rob Thompson was asked about Walker Bueller being an option to be a right-handed starter, to which Rob Thompson said, well, Nola has never pitched out of the bullpen before, so probably not. So it sounds like when the Phillies need that right-handed pitcher or that fourth starter more than the right-handed pitcher, that will be Aaron Nola, that he would pitch a Game 4 situation.
Isn't that amazing?
In the National League Championship Series, which means
the
this,
guy was
though,
an ace back in March coming out of Clearwater. He was one of your aces, and now he's option if needed, what you just said there, if needed.
Well, he will pitch, but this is why this is interesting. Remember when the Phillies made the World Series and they needed a pitcher? They went to Noah Syndergaard. You remember that?
Yes.
Nola will start on Friday, the 26th. That will be his last start of the year, which means he will not start again until October, potentially October. Actually, it would be longer than that. It wouldn't be until the National League Championship Series.
Well, then why would you waste the roster spot on Nola? Was there any consideration to not even putting him on the roster and saving him for that championship series?
I would wonder if that would be the case, if he's just not on the rotation, on the roster in the playoff divisional round.
Right.
But then you put him back on the roster for the championship series. That's a total option there. Now, Walker Buehler, it seems that he will be an option in the bullpen for the playoffs.
Because he can pitch out of the bullpen. He's done that before.
Well, he pitched last year out of the bullpen.
He got the winning.
He got the save.
Yeah, he got the save.
But I think that's the only time he's really
He-
pitched out of the bullpen until this year.
Correct. He has 19 postseason games, 1 playoff appearance out of the bullpen.
Out of the bullpen.
1.
But he has been a starter his whole career until now, where the Red Sox moved him to the bullpen for this season. But I don't know that he's pitched a whole heck of a lot out of the bullpen either. The only thing is he has shown that in the playoffs that he could save a game if you needed him to. He could pitch in a high-leverage situation and get the last 3 outs of the most important game of the season. There's a lot to be said for that. Now, we've seen Nola do it too. There's a lot to be said for that, right? That Aaron Nola has proven he can do it. And I go back to what I said the other day about Christopher Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez on Tuesday night gave up 4 runs early in that game, and then he settled in and pitched really well. It's essentially what Aaron Nola's been doing for you this year. He gives up those 4 early runs, and then he settles in the rest of the way. So I
Can
don't
you
know.
afford, though, to fall behind 4-0 to a Blake Snell in the postseason?
No, you can't, but you can't afford to do it if Christopher Sanchez is pitching either. You were down 4-0 in that game with Shohei Ohtani on the mound dealing a no-no.
Yeah.
Now let's take Shohei Ohtani off the mound and put Yamamoto out there.
Well, Ohtani won't get pulled early in that situation in the playoffs.
He
right?
might. He might. But I don't know if Yamamoto is.
Right.
I don't know if Glasnow is. I don't know who's another team that you could potentially face. I mean, if you're facing the Mets, I don't think Nolan McLean is getting pulled out after 5 innings. I don't think that Minaya is getting pulled out after. No, most of these guys are not getting pulled out after 5 innings. The only guy I think that you might see get pulled out in that situation is Ohtani because of the Tommy John. Andrew Friedman, their GM, has been on record saying that, right now they don't want him to throw more than 5 innings. He's not quite ready to do that yet. Now, I mean, the guy's throwing 100 miles an hour. He has a no-hitter going. At what point do you say, we're going to loosen the reins here a little bit and let this guy throw a playoff game? Now, Ohtani has said that he will go play the outfield if they need him to.
By the way, Mike, really quick,
Right.
Yamamoto is averaging 6 innings per start.
Because Ohtani is essentially 2 different players, right, in their lineup. The pitcher Ohtani, and then if he plays the outfield, that's how they differentiate it.
Well, I don't know why. They asked if he said if they need me to play the outfield that he would be willing to do it. I don't know what that opens up for them in terms of who they would DH.
That would allow Ohtani to pitch in relief if he plays the outfield.
Correct, because then he can come in from the outfield onto the mound.
And he can't do that if he's the DH.
No, but he can go from starting pitcher to DH.
Right, like he did the other night.
Correct.
Okay, so he could not be the DH and then enter the game as like the closer.
Right, because then the DH position goes away. Because they're creating they're based the whole DH pitcher dynamic in the lineup. That fiasco.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. If you're the DH and then you enter the game as the pitcher, you're still in the game in that spot. You would lose it if he got pulled from the game.
It'd be like Little League when he moves from left field to pitcher, right?
Well,
That's literally what it is.
for him, yes.
Yes.
For
He's the
him,
one
right.
that,
Not for the rest of us.
No.
609-403-0973. So that's the Phillies' upcoming pitching situation the rest of the way here. So they're going to go with Game 1, Sanchez, that we knew. Ranger Suarez in Game 2. Looks like Luzardo will pitch Game 3. And then when they need a Game 4, which would be the National League Championship Series, I actually have the schedule of the games here. The National League Championship Series, let's see, the National League Championship Series, Game 4, that would be Game 4 of the NLCS would be October 17th. So you're saying that Aaron Nola would not pitch from Friday, September 26th to Friday, that's 4 weeks almost. almost 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Between Aaron Nola starts, if you use. Now, keep in mind, this is why. This is why in the division series you only need 3 pitchers, because Game 1 is on Saturday. That would be Sanchez. Game 2 is on Monday. There's a day off. So Game 2, that would be Suarez. Game 3 isn't until Wednesday. There's another day off in between, and that means that would be Luzardo. So then by the next time Game 4 would be Thursday, you can go back to get your
Sanchez
starts.
on regular rest.
And then Ranger Suarez would be set up to pitch the 5th game. See how that? And then if that goes 5, there's a day off in between when the NLCS starts, which starts on October 13th. That's a Monday. Then in that game, if it goes 5, you know what that means. Luzardo would pitch Game 1 of the NLCS. Game 2,
you could go back to Sanchez.
you could probably go back to Sanchez. Then you could go to Suarez. And then that 4th game there, you would probably go to Nola. Would be when you would use him, I guess.
Well, could you go Nola in Game 1? You wouldn't go Nola in Game 1 instead of Luzardo.
Probably
in that scenario.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I'll tell you, the one thing I don't like is, Thompson comes out last night and he says Walker's going to start, Buehler's going to piggyback him. What if Walker's throwing well? You know what I'm saying? I hate going into a game where the piggyback is your plan. Because if Walker throws 6 innings, let's say he throws 5 or 6 innings, are you going to Walker Buehler next? Like in the 6th or 7th, are you pitching Walker Buehler as the piggyback there? Or are you now going into your regular bullpen situation? The only way a piggyback really works for me is if the guy goes 2 or 3 innings and then the other guy goes 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah.
That to me is a piggyback, which means you're entering the game with the mindset that my pitcher's not going to pitch very well. If it were me, I'd throw Walker Buehler Friday night. I don't care about Taijuan Walker. He's not a part of my plans at all. And I pitch Walker Buehler again the next time because I want to see if Walker Buehler gives me 2 really good starts. That's what I want to see. I already know Taijuan Walker's not a part of my big picture plans here. So why waste the start? 609-403-0973. Reaction to that, 3 o'clock today. Matt Gelb will talk Phillies with us from The Athletic. Also, coming up at 5 o'clock tonight, One Thought, every game. Casey Joyner, week 3 of the NFL. It all starts tonight with the Dolphins and the Bills. Listen to it on 97.3 ESPN. All right, everybody, welcome back. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township. Stop on out and see us. Get yourself the sweet heat wings from A.J. Brown. It's the Eagles and the Rams this Sunday, and you can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, we've got Thursday Night Football back tonight, and that is the Dolphins and the Bills. It's not a great game, but I'm sure you can win a couple bucks on it. We're talking with Chuck Adell, who's back again after a winner last week. The Giants and the points, that was a shootout game there. And if you want all of Chuck's plays, 800-808-3481, 800-808-3481, or just simply use your phone or your laptop or computer. Go to chuckwins.com. Well, Chuck, it's Thursday Night Football. It happens quickly. The weeks start rolling fast. But that Giant Cowboy game, that was a fun one, especially if you made some money.
Yeah, that was a wild one. Thought we were going to get the straight-up win, but we did collect the money, and that's really all we're looking for. We had a great weekend, and we do have a big play on this game here tonight. We have an angle that we're going to go with, and we're giving out the play free, as you mentioned. Just call 1-800-808-3481, or you could just go to chuckwins.com.
All right, we got Thursday night, but that means it's the start of a new week. What is something you're zoning in on here as we get ready to start week number 3?
All right, well, we're going to try to go for 3 in a row here, and I do have a big play on it that I feel good about on the total in the game Sunday. But to get the whole weekend plays and to get the play here tonight for free, again, just call that 1-800-808-3481, 1-800-808-3481. But, this Green Bay Cleveland game is an interesting game here. These are two of the top defenses in all the NFL. Cleveland's first versus the run, only giving up 2.1 yards per play. Green Bay second against the run, only giving up 2.4 yards per play. And versus the pass, Green Bay's first on defense, Cleveland's 12th in the NFL. The thing here is Cleveland's offense basically in the bottom of the stats and most offensive stats on this Cleveland offense with Joe Flacco. Doesn't have a lot of weapons as well. What really is jumping out at me, though, about this Green Bay defense is their stats came against two strong offenses. You look at the Detroit game when Green Bay played Detroit, it was basically they didn't even score a touchdown. There were 6 points. They did get a meaningless touchdown at the end of the game. Green Bay held Detroit to 13 points. Detroit rebounds the very next week and puts up 52 against the Bears. Green Bay also shut down that Washington offense. So you got one of the best defenses with Green Bay going up against a bad Cleveland offense. And, this Cleveland defense, don't be deceived by the 41 points they gave up to Baltimore last week. They only gave up 242 total yards. There was a lot of turnovers, one of them a fumble return for a touchdown. They also held Joe Burrow in Cincinnati week 1 to 17 points. So they're all, I'm going to take advantage of this. There's some injuries on the Green Bay wide receivers as well. Jaden Reed is out. So we are going to go under the total here. Looks like it's down to 42 right now. We're going to go under the 42.
All right, there you go. And it's a free call, 800-808-3481, or go to chuckwins.com. It's Packers-Browns. Sounds like a mismatch, too, right there. You go Cleveland and the Packers, who, by the way, the Packers have jumped over the Eagles on some of the apps in terms of Super Bowl odds. That tells you what everybody is thinking of the Packers early in the season, and the Browns obviously got beat up last week by the Ravens. All right, Chuck, we like the game, Packers, Browns, obviously, and everybody out there, don't forget Thursday Night Football right here on 97.3 ESPN. If you want to get on that, check out chuckwins.com. Chuck, we will catch up with you again next week, man.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Chuck Adell, he likes Green Bay in that matchup, the Browns under 42.5, and, of course, that Packers-Browns game, you look at the Sunday slate, you would say not one at the top of the slate, but if you can make a couple bucks off it, why not, man? Why not? Just a couple bucks. All right, Sports Bash Live. We're here at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township. You can stop on out, as always, and see the show live on location. We're out a lot this week. Let's give you the quick update on that. Starting this week into next week, Tomorrow we'll be at Ventnor Social. So today, Chickies and Pete, stop out here in EHT and see us. Obviously, you got Thursday Night Football if you want to get that. Tomorrow we're at Ventnor Social. We'll have the Lombardi Trophy with us tomorrow. You can come out and get your picture taken with the Lombardi Trophy, get you ready for a fun sports weekend. Monday, we're back at Ocean. Wednesday, we will be at Maynard's in Margate. And, of course, we are giving away tickets to see the Eagles and Giants Thursday night football game. We'll have another chance for you to qualify coming up in just a couple of moments there. Also, Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City next week. We're back at the Trop. And then on Friday next week, the 26th, Ryder Cup weekend, we're going to be at the Roost out in Egg Harbor Township. If you've never been to the Roost, one of my favorite spots, go there often. Really cool room. Check it out. We'll be there next Friday on the Sports Bash. All right, coming up, 3 o'clock hours on the way. Matt Gelb, late night for the Phillies, but they did adjust their pitching rotation for the weekend against Arizona. What's the message? Find out next. And right there is our contest sounder for that trip to go see the Eagles play the Giants at MetLife Stadium. We're going to be live at Maynard's in Margate, and right now, caller 7-609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. You now have a chance to win a pair of Eagles tickets to go see the Eagles-Giants game at MetLife Stadium. There'll be a bus with transportation to and from the game. You jump on that bus, and there's a full tailgate party. All the way up, all the way back, and during live DJ, drinks, food, you name it, they've got it. You must be present to win, though, at Maynard's in Margate. That's where we're giving away this prize. And caller 7, you have a shot right now. 609-573-3776. All right, welcome back. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're over at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township today. Stop out, go where the players go. Here at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township this fall, enjoy the Chickies and Pete's seasonal menu favorites, tasty A.J. Brown sweet heat wings, Chickie sliders, savory buffalo shrimp, baked oysters. You an oysters guy there, Peachy?
I am, actually. Very good.
I'm not sure I'm an oysters guy.
Well, we had him in New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
We were at the Super Bowl. We did have the oysters. They're very good. All right, Matt Gelb covers the Phillies. The Phils finish a 3-game series out at Dodger Stadium. They take 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. And Matt Gelb from The Athletic joins us right now to kind of recap everything we saw, break it all down as we get down to the final stretch run of the regular season this weekend and then next week at Citizens Bank Park. They're out in Arizona starting tomorrow. Matt, welcome back to the show, bud. How you been? Arizona, one of my favorite spots, was out there for the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and this all of a sudden has turned into a kind of important series for them. They're in the thick of the wild card chase here, and obviously the Phillies trying to hold on to that number 2 spot. But what was your takeaways from the Dodgers series? They win 2 out of 3, but really got dominated by the Dodgers starting pitching. Do you watch that game and think about a playoff series and think of the playoff of the past, or do you look at that and say, no, they took 2 out of 3. You should feel good coming out of that series?
Yeah, I think I kind of look at it the latter way, especially, Tuesday night was, after they partied a little bit Monday night. I'm not saying that they still won the game. It's amazing if they came back late and how they did it, but, not maybe, you try to take away some things from certain matchups that we saw, but I'm not so sure how much you can read into it. What I do think is that you saw how Dodgers are going to try to match up against on the lefties that they're going to use not just in the rotation, but also expect the Phillies to see a lot of that. The Phillies were decently in some of those matchups, but you're right. The Dodgers starting pitching really good in series. I'm playing Snow, not as good as I think I've ever seen him. I think a lot of people have seen him. But I think you come out of that thinking the Phillies did this without the left side of their infield. I think we're starting to see why they do miss Trey Turner a little bit. He's probably going to win batting title. He's going to lead nationally in hits. And, they've gone this whole stretch without him since the beginning of last week. And it's almost like you kind of forget that because they played so well, right?
Yeah, you're right about that, and it's a great point you bring up. They've gone on this little run without Trey Turner, no Alec Boehm. You're winning games, Matt, and you can attest to this. You got Otto Kemp hitting in the 5-hole some nights, and you're like, whoa. I mean, this guy was down at AAA not too long ago, got demoted back to AAA. Now he's hitting the 5-hole some nights. You got Weston Wilson playing a lot for you, Donovan Walton out there. I mean, this has to be way more than the Phillies possibly expected internally that they would get from some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, Kemp, you're talking about a guy who, may not even be on their postseason roster. And I think that there's a strong chance of that. So, yeah, I think there were certainly some things to take away. And you say, well, how are they going to match up against some of these guys? Ohtani, if they face him again, are they going to have some better swings? And I do think it was important that they did get a look at him. It was the first time they had seen Ohtani as a pitcher. Whether that helps them later or not, we'll see. There's no guarantee that they're playing the Dodgers. I think that the fact that they took 2 out of 3, really, they did what they had to do. They've all but clinched, that first round bye. And now the Dodgers, if they are going to get to the Phillies, they're going to have to win a 3-game series. And, that's not a slam dunk.
Yep, they're going to most likely, they're playing they would maybe play the Mets. The Mets are playing now. They're beating the Padres. There's still a big race for that last wild card spot. Matt Gelb from The Athletic. So yesterday, before the game, Rob Thompson kind of made a decision to tweak the rotation. What do we now learn about the rotation the rest of the way, and what it will mean for that division series?
The biggest thing is, yes. The only thing that we know that is obvious is that Christopher Sanchez will start game 1 of the postseason. He's their guy, and we knew that all along. And I think they make the rotation changes now they do to get him just on a better schedule for it. So he'll pitch Tuesday at home, and then that will allow him to pitch the final day of the season, game 162. The reason they want to do that is that, they're probably not playing the first playoff game until October 4th, which is the following Saturday. So you still get the whole week off, basically, but they want him to stay on routine. So, you get him in that last game, you get him on schedule. That way he can stay sharp. To do that, they're going to have Walker Buehler sort of piggyback on Walker from tomorrow, first game in Arizona. And I think it's interesting for a couple reasons. One, Buehler is still, I think, got an inside track to a postseason roster spot, but not as a starting pitcher. Not a consideration there for him, even for them as a starter. But I do think that he could have a role for them. Maybe as a long guy, kind of in the middle, maybe like if they have some trouble with their starting pitcher, they need some help in the middle of the game, and they want to righty. Buehler could be that guy. So I think they want to see what it looks like when he gets out of the bullpen in the middle of the game Friday night, and that's part of their evaluation right now.
Matt Gelb's with us from The Athletic. Yeah, they made that decision. They're going to start Taijuan Walker tomorrow. Buehler will be the piggyback. Nice joke by Rob Thompson. He was holding on to that one for a while. Then they're going to flip those guys, right? The next time Walker Buehler will start and Taijuan Walker will be the piggyback. But as you mentioned, it looks like it's setting up for Walker Buehler to possibly help out in the bullpen. And it sounds like if they need a fourth starter, that would be Aaron Nola. Is that the read that you got?
Yeah, it is. And also, with regards to flipping the piggyback, it's not a guarantee. I think they kind of let that over. And if they do it again, I wonder if they see things that they like from Buehler Friday night, and they might try it again the same setup, later next week. So we'll see about that. But yes, Nola, the way the schedule works, they do not need a starter until they're playing in the NLCS and they advance in March. So yes, I believe that Nola would be the fourth starter if and when they need one. And I do think that they would be bound to give him a pretty short leash in that game.
Well, that's obviously some of the news there that came out of yesterday's game. Obviously the Phillies lose the game late last night. Everybody's a little groggy over here on the East Coast, Matt. But that pitching news there, what do we know about Trey Turner? We did see him taking ground balls here as they were setting up for the Lumineers concert over at Citizens Bank Park. Is the anticipation that he'll be able to go when they get home, or is that too aggressive?
I don't think he'll be activated right when they get home, but I do think that every expectation is that he'll play at least a couple of the games in the final weekend of the season. They are really pleased with the progress he's made. I think, they're happy that they made the call to have him stay back and really get, the focus that he needed to just do his recovery, not worry about the cross-country flight and all the travel and stuff. I think they're going to bring in a minor league pitcher early next week, to give him some live ABs at the ballpark. They're really pleased with how it's going. And every expectation is that he's going to be able to get some at-bats before the season ends, and I think they feel good about the whole thing.
And Alec Bohm this weekend in Arizona. And do you think it's definitive that Bohm just goes right back into the lineup and is playing third base? I mean, is that pretty definitive to you?
I think so. He'll be activated tomorrow, and he'll return. And I think they're going to give him every opportunity to be the guy over there. They need to see something. They haven't seen a ton from him before the injury, so I do think it's not a total guarantee. But I think they want him to be the guy, and I think they need to see him drive the ball a little bit. They really could use that in the middle of their lineup.
Matt Gelb from The Athletic is in Arizona, where the Phillies will start a 3-game series against the Diamondbacks. Matt, you've been around this team for a bunch of years, and of course, Castellanos in this whole outfield situation. How is he kind of handling this? And obviously, if you're watching from the outside looking in, it is looking night to night as if his role is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point where you almost wonder, like, what kind of playoff role does he have? I guess he starts against lefties, but you can almost make an argument that there are better options because of his defense. But how is he kind of handling this, and do you still see him having that role in right field?
I think he'd like to be playing more, no doubt. But for now, I don't think anyone can argue with the path that they've chosen. And that outfield, Marsh, Bader, and Kepler, not only have they produced at the plate, but it is a strong defensive unit. And we've seen them make plays with that alignment that they weren't making earlier this season. And I think when you get to the postseason, the tiniest things matter. And outfield defense is you could argue is not a tiny thing, but it's a thing that's going to matter. And yeah, Castellanos' role, I don't know. Yes, hypothetically, he gets some starts against left-handed pitchers, but there's not a ton of lefty starters on some of these postseason teams. So I don't think he's going to have a big role as it stands now, like this postseason.
Right, and you wrote about this over at The Athletic, the fact that he was told he was going to pinch hit if they were down, and then, of course, they took the lead. So essentially they elected to do something they've been kind of reluctant is they went defense over offense and they let Marsh hit and he ends up hitting a home run and then Kepler hits a home run. And that was kind of an eye-opening thing to me of like, wow, this is kind of showing that Castellanos his role might be getting smaller and smaller to where you wonder, if would he be in jeopardy to not be on the playoff roster? We're not at that point yet though, right?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that might be a step too far, especially because, look, I mean, you look at this guy. Yeah, I mean, he's not performing like he has in the past, but he's gotten some big playoff hits for them, and I think that that's something that they do have to consider. I think it would take a lot for him to not be on the roster, but as it stands now, even if he is on the roster, I don't know how big the role is going to be. And it's also why I think that they would consider, having 14 position players in a shorter series, in a 5-game series. And if you are to carry somebody like Johan Rojas as your extra guy, that way you do want to have it both ways, where you can have Nick Castellanos pinch hit late in the game against a lefty if you want, but then you don't have to put him out in the field. You could put Rojas in for defense behind Castellanos, and that way maybe you're getting the offensive advantage and then also the defensive advantage. So I think that is something they're going to consider.
Yeah, all right. And then let's take a look at the bullpen here. In your mind, Matt, or you're watching it unfold, has Robertson kind of surpassed Kerkering on the leverage ladder here?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did about 3 weeks ago. I mean, I mean, Kerkering has struggled, and I think he's one of the guys here in the last week and a half where you'd really like to see, try to get back on track. And it's crazy, right? Because that inning that he had in Monday night's game was maybe the best inning he's had all season. And I say that despite him giving up a solo home run to Mookie Betts. I mean, some of the pitches he threw in that inning, Conforto and Ohtani and Teoscar Hernandez, were just tremendous. I mean, tremendous pitches. The one that Ohtani took for strike 3 was maybe the best pitch Kerkering has thrown all season. But then you really it was like the whole Kerkering experience. I mean, he gives up a home run. He gets still to tie the game. There's one mistake in there. It just hasn't been crisp all year for Kerkering, inconsistent, especially with that slider, which was his moneymaker pitch. So as it stands, I mean, yeah, he's pitching in lesser spots, but come playoff time, we've seen it. I mean, they are aggressive with the bullpen, just like every team is in the playoffs. And so they're going to need him, even if it's in the 6th inning, to get big outs. And so they got to get him back on track there.
All right. Last night, they go with Luzardo to face Ohtani. My read on this one, and my full disclosure, as soon as the game ended, I fell asleep, so I didn't hear any of the post-game stuff. It's been a rough 3 nights over here on the east side, Matt. But they figure use him as a lefty-lefty so they don't have to bring a lefty in to pitch to 3 batters. But that likely, I don't know, that was a whole interesting scenario there. Like, was that something that was talked about after the game? Why Luzardo? Was it just, hey, we figure we don't want to bring a lefty in. They don't want to show Strom to Ohtani. Banks, I don't know if he was available or not, but what do you make of that situation last night?
I think that's exactly what it was. And Rob Thompson really wouldn't show his hand there, but I think they preferred Ohtani just get another look at Luzardo rather than having Ohtani see Strom or Banks. And Strom has handled Ohtani really well. He did not face Ohtani a single time in this 3-game series, which I don't think was intentional, but I don't think that they're that upset about it. They were down 3 at the time. Down 3 at the time when Luzardo faced Ohtani. Not saying the game was over, but it also, wasn't not like it was. If it was a different game stage, I don't think Luzardo would have been pitching there to Ohtani. They probably would have taken him out if it's a 2-run game or a tie game, etc. So I think that's the path that they chose. And, Luzardo, I thought, was really impressive. It wasn't his best stuff, but he hung in there just like he did the previous start against the Mets. And I think that they're leaning toward him being a postseason starter for them in Game 3 of the series.
How surprised was everybody in the press box that Snell not only stayed in the game, but then talked his way into remaining in the game?
Yeah. I mean, that was the best I've seen him. He was really good. And the knock on him is always that he throws too many pitches. He can't pitch deep into a game. He showed the Dodgers something. And, certainly that's going to stick in the Phillies' head. If they do face the Dodgers again, and I'm sure that because of what Snell did, he's earned himself a start in a hypothetical series against Phillies, because the Dodgers do have a lot of different, starting options. Their bullpen is kind of a mess, and I think you're going to see them take a bunch of their starters and turn them into relievers come October. So they have different scenarios, but I think Snell, you can bet, is going to be starting a game against the Phillies if they do face each other.
Matt Gelb from The Athletic. Phillies take 2 out of 3. They're in Arizona. They return home. Playoffs start October 4th. You can listen to the playoffs right here on 97.3 ESPN. Matt, enjoy the series out there, man.
See you guys.
All right, there's Matt Gelb from The Athletic. And, I'm reading his article over at The Athletic this morning, and he mentioned that Rom did not face Ohtani in the series. And his, as he answered the question right there, is the possibility of them not wanting to let Ohtani face Strom.
Don't want that game tape out there, huh?
You do not, you do that a lot where, hey, I'm not going to, and he brought up the point earlier that the Phillies got a chance to at least see Ohtani for 5 innings. A lot of the guys had never faced Ohtani before. Now you've got the chance. Now he blew you away and threw a no-hitter against you. And much like Nolan McLean, the pitcher for the Mets, who you've now faced a couple times and haven't had very good, games against him now. The Phillies, but keep that in mind. So Gelb did kind of confirm in his mind that the Phillies left Luzardo out there because Ohtani was a left-hander and Luzardo being left-handed, instead of going to the bullpen and trying to bring a lefty in, and that guy has to stay in for 3 batters now. Of course, they put that rule in a couple of years ago where if you come in the game out of the bullpen, you have to face 3 hitters. Obviously, it didn't really work out for them last night. But good stuff from Matt Gelb there. The Castellanos thing, I don't know what they do with him. He's going to be on the postseason roster, but does anybody out there feel like he has a role? Is this team better? And just throw this hypothetical, okay? I'm going to bring up the potential. So he said 12 postseason pitchers because it's a 5-game series. So his whole thing was you probably don't need as many pitchers if you're in a 5-game series. So they go 12 pitchers and 14 position players, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's count them out here real fast. Harper, Stott, Turner, Bohm, Marsh, Bader, Kepler, Real Muto. That's your 8, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get to 14 now. So you got 6 more spots.
That's your Sosa.
That's 9.
Uh-huh.
Backup catcher, that's 10. Okay?
Schwarber, did you mention Schwarber?
Schwarber, did
right.
not. That is 11. Josh, I'm on 11, right? Keep me on track here, buddy. I'm on 11. Okay, so that's 3 spots left.
Now, Gelb mentioned that Otto Kemp, there's a chance that he might not even be included.
That's what I'm trying to figure out here, and this is where I'm getting to the question. So we're at 11, so we have 3 spots left. Who are we forgetting, if anybody, that's an obvious one that would be on the postseason roster? Now, is it Weston Wilson? Would he be on there definitively?
I think he has to be under consideration because the way he's been hitting.
Well, can you include both Wilson and Kemp? No, right?
Well, the question I'm getting to is, theoretically here, could you go – so I'm at 11 right now. I need 3 more. Would you go with Weston Wilson, 12, Otto Kemp, 13, and Rojas, 14, and no Castellanos? So it's essentially Castellanos, Wilson, Kemp, Rojas. Which of those guys? Now, you could say this. Castellanos offers, of that group of guys, is he the best bat?
On paper, yes.
Okay.
Right?
But is he so much better as a bat than, say, Wilson, who could play second, he could play first, he could play third, and he could play the outfield?
Yeah.
Would you rather Wilson's bat?
He's more valuable,
with
right?
his versatility,
Wilson's
or
more valuable.
Castellanos?
I would go Wilson just because I just can't trust Castellanos anymore. I can't trust him at the plate. I can't trust him to be engaged enough in the game to actually be a professional.
Can you trust him to hit 2 home runs in one game and then 2 home runs in the next game?
No, I can't. I can trust him to hit 2 home runs in one game and strike out every other game after that.
All right, so Kemp or Castellanos? Kemp, remember, can play first. He can play third. He can play a little outfield if you needed him to. And he could play second.
You know, if you're leaving off Castellanos, then yes. But if you're putting Castellanos on,
Well, no, it would be either one or the other, not both.
I would probably.
Okay, so the way I look at it is Realmuto, Harper, Stott, Turner, Bohm, Kepler, Bader, Marsh, Schwarber. That's 9. Marchand 10. Sosa 11. And then
Wilson 12.
Wilson 12. 13 and 14. It's either Kemp, Castellanos, or Rojas. Would you rather Rojas for his defense and speed, or Castellanos for his strikeouts and lack of defense?
Well, if you put it like that.
I mean, I would love to have Rojas on this team just because an 8th or 9th inning pinch running would be great.
Right, like let's say you have 2 outs in the 9th and Schwarber is on base. You could have Rojas run for Schwarber.
Yeah, in theory, yeah. But, I mean, Rojas he's just been an afterthought this entire season.
Well, he would only be here to be a pinch runner and a late game defensive.
Is that good
player.
enough?
Now, I don't know. Here's the thing: when he's obviously a really good defensive player, but he does have bonehead moments in his. So, are you going to put him in center, move Bader to left, and put Marsh in right,
No.
or Kepler in right?
Kepler and right.
Kepler and
Okay,
right, yeah.
fine. Then Kepler in right. You could have Rojas in center, Bader in left, and Kepler in right. That could be your defense late in the game.
I mean,
realistically, yes, in my mind, Rojas adds more value than Castellanos does. Because do I think Castellanos is going to succeed as a right-handed bat off the bench? No, I do not. However, if you have a game where there's a left-handed starter, would you rather Castellanos start the game and play right field, or Wilson start the game and he's playing left field? So you would have Castellanos, Wilson, and Bader. That would be your outfield in a playoff game.
I would just rather
Kepler.
Or are you just going to hit Kepler and Marsh against left-handed pitching?
I would rather just not have Castellanos on the postseason roster in general. Just tell him to sit on the bench and collect his paycheck.
I'm not against that. Sports Fast Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Well,
we got text
quick,
messages coming in.
Is it better to give Castellanos 3 at-bats in a ball game as opposed to just 1 clutch at-bat late in the game? What do you have more faith in? Neither option.
I don't like those options. Back with more Sports Fast. Your text messages, we'll read and react to them coming up. Hey, Kip in Tom's River. Congratulations, Kip. We'll see you at Maynard's in Margate. You qualify for tickets to see the Eagles and the Giants Thursday night football game. More Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 329 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Mets are up 6-1 on the Padres. We're keeping an eye on the National League wild card race. I'm Mike Gill.
That's a 2-game lead now for the Dodgers. Probably be 2.5. They play tonight.
Over the Padres.
Yeah, over the Padres. They play tonight against the Giants.
We're live at Chickies and Pete's. Happy hour at Chickies and Pete's every Monday through Thursday. Right now, it actually starts in half an hour. 4 to 6, $3 domestic bottles, $6 seltzers plus half-price appetizers. ChickiesandPete's.com for details. What are you getting on the half-hour menu?
You know, they have some double nickel over there. I saw that tap.
Going beer?
Oh, yeah, of course. Got to go beer on happy hour.
All right, text board is jamming up right now, 609-403-0973. You'll hear what Dean Blandino said to the Rich Eisen show earlier today on 97.3 ESPN. You enjoyed the Rich Eisen show?
It's good to have him back, right?
He had some good interviews. He had Tim Tebow on today. Rich Eisen on. He always gets really good interviews. I'm enjoying a lot of his interviews. So it's good to have the Rich Eisen show right here on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, our buddy Glenn in Absecon, who texts in a lot, they made a promo for him. Did you see that?
No. The ESPN National did?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I didn't see that.
Well, he's a frequent caller to Clinton and Friends.
Right.
So
okay.
they made a promo of his call. It was in the audio vault today. We get like all the audio sent to us from like, all the different shows. So I saw the title of the audio. It said Glenn in Atlantic City. So I listened to it.
That's funny.
And I said, this isn't Glenn in Atlantic City. This is Glenn in Absecon.
Right. Those are the
formerly
distinction.
Glenn in Egg Harbor Township.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah,
I know
good
that
dude.
Glenn. Yeah.
All right, Josh, what do we got on the text? Is Glenn in Absecon Texan?
No, he's not. I was going to say, did you want to play the audio?
No, we don't need to play the audio.
I thought it was hilarious, but Paul from Millville chimes in. He says, Mike, I have to disagree with you. Once those playoffs...
On what?
He says, once those playoffs come, I have a hard time not having Castellanos in the lineup every day with his playoff history. We have talked about this before. Casty has had big moments in the playoffs where Harper, Schwarber, and Turner have all come up small many times. I trust Castellanos in those moments. Over Kepler and Marsh, says Paul in Millville.
Okay, let me ask Paul in Millville a question, and I'm not going to disagree with him here. He's had the series that everybody remembers against Arizona. That's the one that you brought up, Pete.
The Braves one. The Braves series?
Right. The Braves series. I said
Yeah.
Arizona. Then he
Yeah.
had the Arizona series.
Right.
That's the one that I remember.
Yeah.
That's the one that I remember most, is the Braves, the Arizona series. The Braves series was epic. He had a good series last year against the Mets, too. I will give him that. My question that I would re-ask Paul, so his opinion is fine. It's not asinine at all. My question that I would reverse on him would be, same reason, do you trust Nola?
No.
Because his reasoning is he trusts Castellanos because he saw that he's had some big moments. Nola's had some big moments. Do you trust him to pitch in this series?
No. I cannot give Nola the ball, just like I can't give Castellanos 4 at-bats.
Is that a fair question to ask?
Yes.
I mean, that would be my turnaround to that guy and say, hey, listen, I get what you're saying. You're well within reason to ask that question. But the question I would then ask is, if you're saying you're trusting Castellanos based on what he's done in the past, do you then also trust him based on what he has done, what he's done this season? Now, by the way, Max Kepler has been in the playoffs with the Twins, and his playoff history, not great. 146 in 12 games for Max Kepler. That would be a reason to play My point is that would be a reason to play Castellanos. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, conversely, Harper, hasn't had a good year, but you trust that guy in the playoffs.
Well, his point is that there's been times when Harper and Schwarber have come up small, and Castellanos has been the one guy who's kind of – and he's not wrong about that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm just saying based on this season, it's the same reason why Paul in Millville, I would imagine you have some doubts about pitching Nola. Not based on what he's done in the past, what he's doing with right now for you. Go ahead. What else you got?
We also got on 609-403-0973, UPS Jeff, chiming me in and says, the team is better without Castellanos and Nola. They need to win. Oh, well, if you hurt someone's feelings.
I would agree with that. Like, right now, the way we just talked it out, Castellanos provides the least amount of stuff of the four guys in the group, right? His bat is no better than Weston Wilson or Otto Kemp's, really, at this point. Wilson can hit a home run. Wilson can play multiple positions. Kemp can hit a home run. He's had some clutch hits throughout his time here. He can play multiple positions. Rojas can run and play defense. What can Castellanos offer this team?
I mean, really nothing.
Now, to the
To
Nola
that extent.
point on the text message from UPS, Jeff. Nola, I will say this. He hasn't been an abomination. Like, he has these games where he's pitching well, and then he gives up 4 runs. Or he gives up 4 runs, and then he pitches well. The problem with that is you can't be down 4-0 in the first inning of every game he pitches. Now, if it's game 4 of the series, and you're up 3-0 and you pitch him to close it out, I mean, I guess you can live with that, but I don't know. He's only going to pitch. He would pitch once in the championship series and then once in the World Series. So he would only have 2 starts, but they might be 2 really big starts. So the Nola thing's tough. The only thing I would say is, what's your other option? Taijuan Walker?
Sanchez on short rest or something to that effect, right?
Well, that's partly what Clarence Dover says on the text board. He says, we know that Walker will give you about 5 innings. Yes, you'll allow some runs, but at the end of the day, you can preserve the bullpen with Walker. The offense just has to hit at the end of the day.
Well, Clarence is right about that. The offense has been a problem for you, and that's why I said last night I got a little PTSD of the playoffs watching that game last night. When you have a legitimate ace Cy Young level pitcher, a left-hander, mowing you down, because he's mowing down, Schwarber, a lefty, Harper, a lefty, Stott, a lefty. I mean, he's having his way with that lineup last night, and that also then weakens the rest of your lineup, because now you got Castellanos, because, his at-bats last night were awful. In the words of Frank the Tank, they were feeble.
Yes.
They were feeble at-bats.
He did get a base hit, though, his
Late
last
in the
at-bat,
game,
yeah.
A little one-hand single over the flare of the second baseman's head.
I want to get one more text in here, Mike, because Phil and Brigantine has a question for you, Mike. He says, Mike, why wouldn't you pitch Buehler more and see if he can make more sense moving forward as a right-handed starter instead of Nola?
I said that. I would pitch tomorrow night. I would pitch Walker Buehler, and then the next time they play the Marlins, I would pitch Walker Buehler. I agree with Phil and Brigantine. He's a smart man. I don't need to see Taijuan Walker pitch at all. He wouldn't even be on my playoff roster. Well, Taijuan Walker would not be on my playoff roster. And knowing that, if I'm the Phillies, I'm not wasting any innings from him that are valuable to find out more information on other guys, like Walker Buehler,
That's the thing. You don't have much data on Buehler. You have 1 start and a AAA start at that effect, but his numbers with Boston this season were terrible.
His numbers with the Dodgers last year were terrible.
Right.
And then he pitched in the playoffs.
He got sent down last year. He had some mental stuff going on, but then he pitched well in the playoffs, and he won the World Series.
He didn't only pitch the closing game to close the series out. He won, correct me if I'm wrong, he won Game 5, too, did he not, as the starter?
As a starter, yeah. And then he came back to close the series as the closer.
2 days later.
Right. So he does have something in him.
And he has pitched in, 19 playoff games in his career?
And 18 of them are starts.
But in those 18 starts, he is statistically one of the greatest playoff performers in the history of baseball.
Yeah, he actually has better postseason stats than he does regular season stats. So as a regular season pitcher, he's a 3.55 ERA, Mike. In the postseason, he has a 3 flat ERA.
Now, our buddies over at Phil's Tailgate, this is the pitchers they have on their postseason roster prediction. Sanchez, Suarez, Lazardo, Nola, those 4. Duran 5, Strom 6, Banks 7, Robertson 8, Kerkering 9, Tim Meza 10, Lou Trevino 11, and Walker Buehler 12. So if a 12-man rotation They do not have Taijuan Walker on there. And I would agree. I would not have Taijuan Walker on my postseason roster either, which means I don't need to start him in the game on Friday night, and I don't need to start him in the game next week either. Phil, I agree with you.
Mike, let's flip it over to Dean Blandino because he was on the Rich Eisen show earlier, and I thought he had some interesting things to say. So just to kind of give it a little recall for the audience out there. So Blandino, he was the guy on the Fox telecast on Sunday who said what he said about the tush push, which we've been talking about this week. And good job by whoever it was, Eisen and his producers, for getting Blandino on the show today to explain. So let's start with Dean Blandino. Why did you say what you said about the tush push on Sunday's broadcast?
It's a competitively unfair play. You think about the defense. If the defense hits the running back at the line of scrimmage, stacks him up, and drives him 10 yards back, the offense isn't going to lose 10 yards, right? You got forward progress right there. But we allow the offense to push and now gain an advantage in that instance.
I've been saying that for the whole – anytime this conversation comes up about the tush push and people get mad at me, oh, you hate you. No, I'm just being objective. I'm an Eagles fan who thinks the tush push is not a good football play. I'm also an Eagles fan that's happy that they haven't gotten rid of it because they are utilizing it to their advantage. But if I'm just a football fan, if I'm a Jets fan, and you said to me, what do you think of this play? I would say, I don't think it's I think it's an unfair advantage to the offense.
So last offseason, during those meetings, you would have voted to ban it. It should have been banned this year, right?
I said that to me, the play is an unfair advantage to the offense. Just what Blandino says. You can't have – there's a picture. Speaking of Glenn and Apsekin, he texted in on Monday and was saying it's the same play as a quarterback sneak. Glenn, I don't know what you're watching. There's a picture, and I can send it to Glenn and Apsekin if he's listening and would like to see it. There's a picture of the tush-push play that the Eagles ran on Sunday against the Chiefs, and there's a running back who literally has his shoulder jammed in Jalen Hurts' back, and he's jamming him forward. How can that be okay to have three running backs? Because sometimes they go with like a wing T look in the, not a wing T, but like a full house backfield.
Right.
And they got three guys pushing forward. You can't have that. It's ridiculous. Anybody out there who's being objective, you could be the biggest Eagles fan in the world. And you could say, you know what, I'm the biggest Eagles fan there ever was. I do think that play is a little bit of a disadvantage to the defense.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Speaking of the quarterback sneak, Blandino did talk, Mike, about the fact that he says that these short yardage plays, they're already difficult for officials to actually officiate.
Challenges aren't unique to this play. Like you said, short yardage plays are tough to officiate.
Right.
And I think if we get rid of this play, the Eagles come up with a quarterback sneak, I think they're going to be just as successful. I really do.
He's not wrong. I mean, I think everybody has said that. Well, the Eagles, they don't really need this play. We're all just saying that, though.
Can't the officials do their job and actually enforce some rules? Is that so hard?
Apparently,
enforce
yes.
the neutral zone, I should say.
That part of it, you're right. I mean, that's where it just starts to get ridiculous, is that the defense is in the neutral zone, the offense is offsides. It's just turned into a complete bleep show, though. That's the whole point of why the play is so hard to officiate, because you're what are the officials going to do? Like, just start throwing flags every single time this play is run? And then who you calling the flag on?
I think this weekend against the Rams, we're going to see how this narrative
We saw it in the
shaped.
championship game last year against Washington. They had flags on 3 straight plays. It was a joke.
It was a joke. And what's interesting, guys, is that Blandino, he has I don't want to say he's breaking news, but Blandino did have some information about why the tush push is still here. This is from today's Rich Eisen show here on 97.3 ESPN.
There were 10 teams that voted to keep it, 9, not the Eagles, and 9 other teams. Of those 9 teams, I know there were several that felt like the Eagles won the Super Bowl. We're not going to take the easy route. We're going to be, the ego, and we're going to stop it, and we're not going to be seen as we couldn't stop them. They won the Super Bowl. I know for a fact that there were some clubs that had that in the back of their minds and might have been a factor in voting to keep it.
Think about this, okay? The Eagles won the Super Bowl last year. that play was a part of the Super Bowl. If they win the Super Bowl again, how are you supposed to say we have the two-time Super Bowl champion and a play that they utilized to win those two Super Bowls we're getting rid of? Like, what kind of look is that for the league? So I don't think that he's off base with what he said there, because the aesthetics of that would be almost as bad as the aesthetics of watching the play.
And that's why he said most of those 9 teams voted to keep it, because those teams did not want to look like that.
Those teams did not want to look like that. Okay, yeah, they're good for them, by the way. But if the Eagles end up winning it again, how do you say our Super Bowl champion? We just stripped a play from them that they use to win that Super Bowl.
Well, you say it by, as Blandino said on the Rich Eisen show today, he explains, he says this play didn't exist 20 years ago.
This idea of pushing the ball carrier, which has never been legal in the history of the NFL, it was never officiated that way, so they took the language out. And in hindsight, that really was a mistake, because if that language had stayed in the book, even if you don't officiate it, this play never comes into existence.
Do you know why they took it out?
Because it just wasn't being officiated, and they felt like, okay, if we're not calling this, why is it in the book? And right, the tush push didn't exist back in 2005.
Yeah, we've talked about this with McMullen a lot, that this was something that they took out of the game. You could not push players forward, and then for whatever reason, it just kind of oddly got back in the game.
Well, no, Mike, he said it didn't exist ever before in the NFL. One of the stories he tells on the Rich Eisen show is that this has been a rule in the book since the 1930s, but in 2005, they just decided to take it out because they thought it was an irrelevant rule.
That's why the Eagles take so much pride in it, is because it's their creation.
I will say the Eagles obviously take a lot of pride in it and practice it and do it way better than everybody else. And I do understand not being penalized or punished for that. I'm just saying, as a football fan, and if you were to ask me as just a football fan, I just don't think the play should be legal. That's all. Coming up, the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Is it Hurts or Stafford? Which one you got? That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Jalen Hurts this season has a better QBR on third downs, a better QBR versus the blitz, a better QBR when pressured, a better QBR in the red zone, and a better QBR in the fourth quarter. To me, those are all elements of quarterback play. And Jalen Hurts is better than Matt Stafford in all of them. The only thing that people look at is Jalen Hurts not having a passing touchdown, and Matthew Stafford has 3 of them. But Jalen Hurts also has 3 touchdowns. He just ran them in himself.
Chris Canty, that is the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. And, of course, it is brought to you by White Horse RV Center. Our unsportsmanlike moment of the day, Chris Canty, he just went through the litany of things. Jalen Hurts' QBR is better in this, and this. And he's better in all of them. It's a great cut there by Chris Canty. Listen, if I was to ask you a question, you could have Matthew Stafford with this offense or Jalen Hurts with this offense. Who are you taking?
Jalen Hurts.
Josh?
I think Jalen Hurts is perfect for what the Eagles want to do. But I'm not going to deny this.
Matthew Stafford has a pretty damn good offense himself.
Here would be a question then. Jalen Hurts is perfect for what the Eagles want to do. Is that really even the case? Or is this perfect for what Hurts can do? In other words, if you had Matthew Stafford here, the offense would look totally different.
Yes.
But they have the weapons to succeed with a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, do they not?
They do, but I think part of the problem is that how many times have we actually asked Hurts to do anything else?
That's a fair question, but the retort to that would be, I can ask Matthew Stafford to win the game by throwing for 350 yards if I want to, but I also have Saquon Barkley, and I could just say,
hand the ball off.
Hand the ball off. Almost feels like the Eagles have to win the ball with Saquon Barkley being involved. Now, you say in the Super Bowl that wasn't the case, and that is accurate. It's just perplexing that they don't ask Jalen to do it more. But if you had Matthew Stafford, you better bet your bippy that you would ask him to do it more.
Matthew Stafford's not going to throw for 101 yards.
I couldn't imagine Matthew Stafford having any game where he only attempted 20 passes if he was the quarterback.
They lose that game, though, right? If Stafford throws for 101 yards and only throws for 20 passes, they lose that game probably.
Yes.
Right?
And that's why I said.
Theoretically, I mean, I don't know, because Jalen Hurts he was really good on third down again. He didn't really do a lot with his legs. I mean, but to me, that comment that Canty makes is he's saying that just an eye-opening thing is my point, and I like what he brings up, is that his QBR is better on third. The categories he brought up were clutch categories, and he's saying he's better than Stafford in all of them. I would say this. If Matthew Stafford was the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, they'd still be really flipping good. They would just be really, really different. And that's our unsportsmanlike moment of the day, brought to you by our friends at White Horse RV Center. Check out the unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, the White Horse RV Center, find fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RVs. Shop now before they're gone at White Horse RV. Your RV adventure starts here. And there's our contest sounder right now. I need caller 7, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, you have a shot to win Eagles-Giants tickets for MetLife Stadium Thursday night football. The bus is heading up to MetLife Stadium, and you can see the Eagles play the Giants at MetLife. You and a friend are on the bus, tailgate party, transportation to and from MetLife Stadium for Thursday night football. You must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate next Wednesday for the live show where we select one lucky winner. You'll win the tickets, you're on the bus, you get the tailgate party, and you'll be at Eagles-Giants Thursday night football. Caller 7, 609-573-3776. Good luck. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It is brought to you by the Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We'll be there on Monday. Today we're at Chickies and Pete's in EHT. Chickies and Pete's is the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, and you can stop out to Chickies and Pete's, of course, for all of the Eagles games. I heard it was packed here on Sunday with the Eagles playing at 4:25, the Cowboys-Giants game, the Phillies game at 1, and then this week you got the reversal. You've got the Eagles playing at 1, the Phillies playing at 4, and the Cowboys playing at 4 afterwards as well. Go where the players go. Don't forget, events are always better with Chickies and Pete's. Have your next party catered or have the Crab Fry Express food truck at your special event. Book now at chickiesandpete's.com. 4 locations. I like the Chickies and Pete's food truck idea. Have that right there in your driveway there, Pete J.
I could go for some crab fries right when I wake up.
Smells very crab fry-ish in here today. 609-403-0973. Jalen didn't really do a lot with his legs. He only had 10 tush pushes, Mike. You're lost. If you think a tush push is qualifying as doing something with your leg, you must be sitting at the bar here with the crowd of people that we have. I'm not talking about tush pushing with your legs. I'm talking about a third down run that kind of breaks the backbone of the defense.
Like what he did in Dallas's game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a complete moron to make that comment, that he didn't do anything with his legs and then throw the tush push, which, by the way, what did he get, a half of a centimeter? When the tush push.
7 rushes for 5.5 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, if you really thought, if you think that using your legs on the tush push is what I was referring to, I'll have what he's having at the bar over there. I'm talking about on a third down when the quarterback runs for a first down, or even, a big run on a second down or an RPO. They did not have any design runs for Jalen Hurts in the game on Sunday. Nothing. In fact, that was a big story of the game afterwards, was that they're not really using him in the run game. A lot of the runs, that he had done in the past, these RPO things, we're not seeing them at all. I mean, I can't believe how moronic that – I'm, mesmerized at how dumb you actually have to be to actually hit send on that text message. I am at Chickies and Pete's today, so I do know there's people hanging out at the bar, maybe having a couple pops. Right?
Yeah.
Could be one of those people.
It could be that guy sitting right over there.
The guy's laughing over there that text was pretty bad. Yeah, Jalen Hurts, by the way, had 9 carries for 15 yards, a 1.7. Yeah, it sounds like
7 of those.
It sounds like he really broke their back with his legs. All right, sports. I'm reading these texts and just cracking up laughing. I feel bad for people. I really do. I shouldn't feel bad for people because but I do feel bad when you make comments like that, and I have to absolutely laugh at it. All right, Adam Kaplan's filling in for Andrew DiCecco today for today's Football at 4 on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And Adam usually joins us on the Friday where the injury updates come back, but we do have some injury updates today, and it's a pretty clean bill of health, Adam, for the Eagles, including one guy who might be a little bit of a surprise, and that's Will Shipley was back at the practice field today, but they only had 4 guys on the report yesterday, so it looks like they're entering with pretty clean bill of health.
Yeah, it's a good sign, Mike, that they only have 4 now. Yeah, Shipley's definitely surprising. Now, here's the thing. He has broken rib. He has to get cleared for contact. And until he does, he can't play. It's one thing to go out there. He's got to be able to take contact. So if he gets cleared for contact, he'll play this week. It's as simple as that. Really not much to add. But other than I am surprised. I'm with you a little bit. Now, A.J. Dillon filled in from last week. He saw 10 snaps, right? They have a problem with pass protection on third down or any passing situations. It's just something they're going to have to work through. It's not something they didn't know, but it's been a little bit of a problem. And Tank Bigsby only played on special teams returns for kickoff returns. So obviously if Shipley plays, he'll only be on special teams if he's active. But it's certainly something to watch how they work this rotation going forward behind Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Shipley obviously had a nice little role in the first game there, added some stuff to the offense. Also, the other name, Dallas Goedert, was on the injury report back at practice yesterday. But it looks like that knee that some people thought he might be out a little while for, he could play this week.
Yeah, so he worked some today. I got to see how they list him. We're probably looking at a questionable at best, but he's way closer this week than last week. He didn't do anything last week. He just rehabbed his knee. Kylan Granson played a ton, 34 snaps, 57% of the snaps last week. So They miss him. They need to block that in the worst way. It was good to see, though, Cam Latu did a good job in his fullback role, but they need a tight end here who can block. Now, and obviously got it over the middle. With what you saw in game one, I know they were short area plays, but they need Goddard back. He and Hurts had they really had a great training camp together, and it certainly showed last week that he didn't play.
Tanner McKee has been out with the broken thumb. He was the emergency quarterback last week, but does he get back on the roster as the number 2 guy?
Yeah, he's closer this week, okay? He's the 2 when he's healthy, and he's got a broken right thumb. So the good thing is he threw last week. He's throwing this too. He's getting closer. That's good news. Now, they also got some good news on offense this week. Now, it doesn't mean he's feeling great, but Landon Dickerson, he's off the injury report with a back, and that's really good. Now, you look at his situation, you worry about he's had back problems before. He had the knee surgery, Mike, as you know, the off-season surgery. Then he had another one, the meniscus trim. The thing is, they just don't have a quality backup for him. Brett Toth is not it. I know he is the backup, but he's shown that he's not good enough. And the miss that they had on Trevor Keegan, who they thought would be his backup, he wound up being cut. He's with another team now. That miss, because they really need to develop a backup lineman, interior lineman, in the worst way right now who could play guard.
Right, and then the other guy, as we know that his injury from the preseason is Landon Dickerson. He is off the report. That's been the spot there. Going on defense, a little surprise name was Jalen Carter. There was really no reporting of where this injury kind of happened.
All right, a couple things here. So you saw him hold his wrist or his hand. That's not listed. It's the shoulder. Mike, in our reporting on Jalen Carter, we put this out after he was drafted. There was concern about some shoulder issues. He's had them since college. He usually plays, but we don't know if it's the same shoulder that he had an issue with. So he's going to play, but he is listed with the shoulder this week, and he was previously. That's something to watch. Jordan Davis, by the way, you saw him limp off with a leg injury or something. Well, he's not listed. That's a good sign.
Obviously, having him would be a big deal there. And what's the latest on Nakobe Dean as we get to week number 3 here? We know he's getting closer. And, of course, the big question will be with Dean when he comes back. What have we seen from Campbell on what Dean's role might even be?
Well, Campbell's the starter. That's not going to change because, as we said at the time, Dean will not get his job back if Campbell is doing his job well. And barring something unforeseen, which would be a major drop-off in mental errors and stuff, Campbell's so far ahead of schedule. As a team, it's way too early and either side of the football. We just don't have enough data and information. But individual players, Jahad Campbell is so far ahead of probably people in the league thought he would be. He's been terrific. He's just a stud. Now, look, Dean, he's coming off major knee surgery. He thinks he's going to be able to at least practice in week 5. That's when he's eligible. Yet, by rule on PUP, you have to miss 4 games. He said, he said, I'll see you in week 5. We'll see. But that would be great. And now the thing with Dean is, whatever role he'll have will be strictly decided on how he looks in practice. He hasn't practiced, so they don't know. How his rehab has gone. It's gone really well. But until, Mike, you get him on the field, you just don't know where he's at.
All right, Adam Kaplan here. That's a look at the injuries on the Eagles side of thing. Nakobe Dean, as we pointed out, he is out through at least week 4. But he could practice in week 5, and that would bring up this discussion. We'll go back there. Flip it over to the Rams here because obviously they have a couple names on their injury list that could factor into this game, especially on the offense and defensive line.
Yeah, Steve Avila is their guard who played center before. He's out of Baylor. He was a 3rd-round pick. Didn't play week 1. Outside chance he plays. Like, they practice later today, so there's a chance. They say he's closer this week than last week. They had undrafted free agent Justin Dietich, who filled in for him last week. Did a good job. Hung in there. So keep an eye on that. That's an advantage Eagles if he's got to play. Braden Fisk, who got hurt last year, he played briefly with an injury. He's one of their starting defensive tackles. Really good player who could rush the passer. He got hurt in pregame warm-ups last week, Mike. He only saw 13 snaps. They're optimistic he'll be able to play, but the big injury, not that he's a great player. Killer Witherspoon is a German corner at 30 years old. He's their best corner. He's done for probably a couple months, broken clavicle. They are really light at corner right now. Dennis Williams, who's a journeyman who was a starter many years ago for them, he's back. Kobe Durant, he's been a quality backup. They're really short. Both corners are about 5'10". And then the other one is the other starting corner, Emmanuel Forbes. You might remember him. A.J. Brown abused him a couple years ago. He's really thin. He's over 6 feet. I might, and we'll get into the matchups this week or in the segment for this week's game. This is a matchup where the Eagles could get A.J. Brown involved. They got to come out throwing a little bit. They don't have to throw it 40 times, Mike, but they got to get A.J. Brown on Emmanuel Forbes because Forbes is too small physically.
Yeah, well, we were discussing that yesterday with Brian Baldinger, who joined us and talked about that this is the week. Their secondary, their corners specifically, we're going to get into that here in just a second. So when you look at this game, let's talk a little bit about what we expect here when you look at the Rams offense and their defense. You got Matthew Stafford. Obviously, they played twice last year. Some people forget they did play in Week 12, and the Eagles won that game kind of handily. It was 37-20. The playoff game was obviously a lot different story. So what do we expect the third time they play in less than a year?
Yeah, in fact, Sirianni's 3-0 against the Rams. So, yeah, I would say this, that last year the Eagles bombed them in L.A. Hurts played well in that game, but that was obviously a Barkley game. He was unbelievable. I would argue it was Brandon Graham's best game as an Eagle. In that, ironically, that's when he got hurt. We actually talked to BG. We interviewed him before the season started, and he talked about he was in a zone that day. And that's one of the things with his retirement. They have not been able to replace his pass rush. But, yeah, what you're going to get on the Rams offense is Devontae Adams, who looked great last week against Tennessee. Stafford, the back problem, he's over it. He's 37 years old. Still slinging it, looks great. Jimmy Garoppolo is his backup if something had to happen. They're not great on the offensive line. Coleman Shelton, who's their center, is back. He was with Chicago for a year. He's back. Kevin Dotson has been incredible. Kevin Dotson was the guy the Steelers were going to cut had they not traded him to the Rams. Dotson plays out of his mind, gets an extension. Rob Havenstein, you'll see him. He's been with the Rams since 15. Good player. He's older. And Alaric Jackson, who was an undrafted free agent in 2021, who just got a big deal. They have depth. I mean, they're above average, not that good. Eagles really handled them the last year, but the thing is, you've got to be able to get to Stafford because he's got a quick release. And Devontae Adams, we mentioned, Puka Nacua. When you watch him, number 12 in this game, Mike, watch how they deploy him. He's really not a true outside receiver. They reduce him. They move him inside, and he's really tough there. He's super strong. You saw that touchdown run last week. He looked great. Kyron Williams has been way better, Mike, than anyone thought at running back to Notre Dame. He's now in his fourth year. He got his extension. Great story of development. He's way better than people thought. And Blake Corum, who's a good player, he looked good last week. So they have a great offense. Every once in a while, if their offensive line doesn't fall, so they in week one, they barely won. Their defense carried them. But defensively, Mike, you mentioned the corners. I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, Chris Shule is a good defensive coordinator. They're not good at corner. That's how you win. They're really good at safety. Cam Curl came over from Washington. Cam Chins, who was a third rounder last year out of Miami. Great defensive line. Everybody knows about Jared Verse and what he did last year in the playoff game in the snow here. I mentioned Fisk. Kobe Turner is a good football player. The other Byron Young is phenomenal. Had a great week last week. Who's an edge rusher out of Tennessee. So they're really good, but the thing is they're really small, Mike, defense, really smart linebacker. They're athletic but small. Puna Ford, who will start at nose tackle, is 5'10.5", but 34-inch arms. They're athletic, they're well coached, but they're small. And the Eagles' offensive line dominated them at the game in L.A. I expect them to dominate on Sunday here in Philly.
All right, there you go. A little breakdown of the matchup that you can hear right here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, the kickoff at 1 o'clock. It's a series of 1 o'clock games, Adam. Get the 1 o'clock football back into the rotation, and you'll hear that with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick right here on 97.3 ESPN. Hey, thanks for pinch hitting, bud.
You got it, man. Thank you.
Adam Kaplan pinch hitting today for Andrew DiCecco. Will be on tomorrow's Friday edition of Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. You can watch the show live on the YouTube channel. Here's a couple of numbers for the game. All right? A couple things to keep in mind when the Eagles and the Rams. This is the third time they've played. Week 12 they played last year. They also played the playoffs last year. So this is the third time they've played. in a very relative short amount of time. It's a rematch of last year's division game. The Eagles won that game 28-22. Remember now, the Rams had the ball down on the 13-yard line.
That was the Jalen Carter play, right?
In the final moments of that game, and Jalen Carter gets in the face of Matthew Stafford to really disrupt it. The Eagles also won in Week 12, 37-20. They are 9-1 in their last 10 games against the Rams, and that includes the
and you
playoffs.
know what? McVay's a damn good coach. So Sirianni having that record against McVay, that tells you something.
He has beaten them every single time they have played.
Yep.
The Eagles have won 18 of their last 19 games overall. They've won 11 straight home games. Now, put that into factor, too. This game is in Philadelphia. They have won 11 straight games at home. The Eagles are also the first team since 2010 to start 2-0 without throwing a touchdown pass. They have not started a season without throwing a touchdown pass through its first 3 games since 2003. That was the Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb
It wouldn't
era.
kill Hurts to throw a touchdown, I guess, right?
You put it in your back pocket. You save it for a rainy day.
And make sure it's to A.J. Brown, too, will you please?
Saquon Barkley, 255 yards in Week 12 against the Rams in that game. He had 205 yards against the Rams in the divisional round. He had joined Eric Dickerson, who also played for the Rams, as the only players with a 200-yard rushing game in both the regular season and the playoffs in their career. Barkley is the first to do it, though, in the same season, and he did it against the same opponent. Can he go for 200 again in the game on Sunday? You know, he's averaging 166 yards a game against the Rams in his career. It's the highest yards per game against any team he's ever faced. So that begs the question, is this a Barkley game, or is this a passing game with A.J. and Devontae? Because you just heard what Adam Kaplan said, and Brian Baldinger said it yesterday. Their secondary is certainly suspect and a problem.
Right, so if there ever was a week to kind of get things going in the passing game, maybe use some creativity with Patullo, finally get
that
going
sounds like
here.
an oxymoron, creativity and Patullo.
I know.
So far. But the big thing is, Barkley averages 166 yards a game against the Rams.
But he's been bottled up the first 2 games, and you wonder if that's because of the passing game and they just aren't going downfield.
But you would think that would open things up for the passing game even more, that they are bottling up 8-9 men in the box, not letting Barkley beat you. 5 straight games with a rushing touchdown for Jalen Hurts. The Hurts-Barkley tandem is seeking to become the first quarterback-running back duo to both record a rushing touchdown in each of the team's first 3 games of the Super Bowl era. So that would be pretty big if they both get into the score to the end zone and score again this week. By the way, on the Rams side of things, they're looking to start 3-0 for the 4th time under Sean McVay. The other times it happened, 2018, 2019, 2021. They reached the Super Bowl in 18 and 2021. They did not make the playoffs when they went 3-0 in 2019. Matthew Stafford, 16 touchdowns and 1 interception in his career against the Eagles. He has kind of owned them statistically speaking, but he lost the last 3 games after beating them 4 of his first 5 games when he was the quarterback. Sean McVay against the Eagles, he is 1-5. That's tied with the Packers for the worst record against any opponent in his head coaching career. And Davante Adams, last week, 6 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown against the Titans. He has 33 career games with at least 100 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. We'll see if Adams can get shut down by the Eagles' defense here. The big stories, though, Saquon Barkley against the Rams. It's been his best team. And you go back to that game last year, the Rams were the closest team to beating the Eagles. And, of course, it was down to the final play, really, in that fourth quarter. They're down by 6 with less than 2 minutes in the game. In the fourth quarter, the Eagles forced a turnover on downs, and they held on for a 28-22 win. Of the Eagles' 4 postseason wins, it's the only game that was decided by fewer than 12 points. Of course, they blasted Kansas City. They lambasted the Commanders, and they beat the Packers with ease. So we'll further break this game down tomorrow. It's a Sal Pal Friday. Erin Coscarelli from Believe in Rams, she'll join us at 3:30 tomorrow for the Outside View. She's been spending time at Rams practice all this week and will give us all the insight on the L.A. Rams.
The one guy that wasn't here last year and for all those games was Devontae Adams.
And
he could be the X factor, maybe.
Adams is in. Cooper Kupp is out.
Cooper Kupp
Big
is out.
change
Correct.
for them.
Yep.
Remember last year in the division game, the Eagles blitzed against them. When it mattered the most in the fourth quarter, they pressured and blitzed Matthew Stafford on more dropbacks in the fourth quarter than they did in the first 3 quarters combined. 2 sacks on the blitz. We saw the Eagles blitz 11 times last week against Kansas City. So more blitzing from Vic Fangio. Could see it this week against the L.A. Rams. All right, when we come back, Nick Earnshaw is back with another edition of Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. That was Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. The Sports Bash is live on location today. We are at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township, and you can always stop out to Chickies and Pete's. We're at the EHT location. They've got so much going on, getting ready for the weekend. We were talking.
This bar is packed, by the way.
Right. I love it. I love the fact that it's Thursday afternoon at 4:20. Well, it's happy hour. You got happy hour going on from 4 to 6. So stop out and see what it's all about. The TVs are on right here for Thursday Night Football tonight. Nick's Nuggets are next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, time now for the Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw hosts Nick's Nuggets every day right now at this time here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. We are live at Chickies and Pete's here in Egg Harbor Township, which is, of course, the official home of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the one and only Chickies. It's named the number one sports bar in North America by ESPN. And Monday through Friday, the happy hour from 4 to 6, you get half off pizza, shrimp, wings, plus $6 seltzers, $5 Tito's, $3 domestic bottles, all season long right here. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's. Now, Earnshaw, we got a full bar over here. No seats for you. Sorry, but did you stay up late last night for the Phillies finale out in L.A.? That was kind of a clunker. Not worth staying up late for.
Yeah, last night got a chance to stay up till probably like 7th, 8th inning, and then I was gone. I was passed out after that, and I was like, they're not coming back in this one. But you guys, you go from ice cream, PG. Like, PG gets the great shifts, right? He gets the free beer, he gets the Chickies and Pete's crab fries, he gets the ice cream. I mean, what a shift for PG, to say the least.
Yeah, tomorrow, by the way, we're over at Ventnor Social. So,
right.
Today we got the Chickies and Pete's, the crab fries over here, Ventnor Social. We got all sorts of – they got the mural. They got the Saquon Barkley mural, the Great Wall over there. We got 4 next week. We're on the road 4 times next week.
Yep, next week will be fun. We'll be at the Roost. I'll be at that one. I can't wait for that one. A little bit of golf, Ryder Cup action. That's going to be a lot of fun as well. But you mentioned the Phillies, so – I got to invoke the Phillies with nugget number 1 here. And you commented on this tweet too, Mr. Mike Gill. Bob Nightingale put out a stat that was getting a lot of attention on the X platform. He said the Philadelphia Phillies win the series against the Dodgers, but the Dodgers rotation dominated the Phillies lineup. The Phillies hit 0-54 with 24 strikeouts in 56 at-bats against the Dodgers rotation. These two teams could meet again in the best-of-5 division series. Well, he is correct. Right. He is correct in saying all of those stats. The Phillies did not hit well against the starting rotation of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ohtani threw 5 innings of no-hit baseball against this team. However, this is essentially the same type of argument that you have gotten out of the Jalen Hurts stuff, right? However, the Phillies took 2 of 3. They won 2 out of 3. They won the series in Los Angeles. It's concerning a little bit, but remember, they're missing Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, and then once they get to the bullpen, it's game on. The Phillies took total advantage of that. It's not like it's like the Dodgers. They had a lead in this series multiple times, especially in the I believe it was the first game, right? They were up, and then the Phillies came back. So, putting that stat out, it's just for clicks in my estimation. So I get it. 0-54, not great. But who won the series?
Well, I think if you read that and you're not mildly, having some concern about, this isn't a playoff game last night. This is just a regular season game. And if you are equating a regular season game to a playoff game, I can't go there. The playoffs are way different animal. The energy's way different, and everything's different. The one thing I do take away from that stat is they struggled against the Dodgers starting pitchers, and they didn't even see the Dodgers' best starting pitchers. You get into a series with Yamamoto, Glasnow, Ohtani, and Snell last night, plus Sheehan, who came in the game the other night and blew you away. They looked like they were lost against the Dodgers starters. And in a playoff series, I think that the Dodgers are going to manage that game a lot differently, too, and you're going to see more of the Dodgers starters as relief pitchers, guys who are coming in relief. So you're going to see more of those guys than the guys that you ended up facing. The Phillies did a fine job against the Dodger bullpen, which stinks, by the way, but you never saw Yamamoto in the series. You never saw Glasnow in the series. They're going to get Sasaki back here. I would imagine – it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Ohtani in the playoffs. Is he going to start? Is he going to come out of the bullpen? Because he has said he will play the outfield so that he can come out of the bullpen. But if he does start a game, does he get to go more than 5 innings? So far that they've kind of managed him to where he can only pitch 5 innings. So we'll see. But I definitely think it's, definitely a number that is concerning. I don't care. The Phillies won the series. That's great. But in a playoff series, I don't think the games are going to look quite the way those games look this week.
Yeah, and you have to remember,
Now, the point
Phillies are
about
missing
not having
guys.
Trey Turner, the
Yeah.
point about not having Trey Turner is valid. The question would be, though, what version of Trey Turner am I getting back? Alec Boehm is going to be back. What version of him am I getting back? Last year he missed time and never really recovered when he came back. Right now you're starting to see a little bit of Harrison Bader fading a little bit from the guy that was really, really good. I don't know. Last night you had a lefty pitcher in Blake Snell. If he pitches against you, that means I don't have Marsh in the lineup. I probably don't have Kepler in the lineup. I got to have Nick Castellanos out there, and he looked overmatched and overwhelmed in that game. So, yeah, I definitely think that stat has some validity that you should be concerned.
I do like that Jalen Hurts comparison, though, Earnshaw.
I mean, it's essentially the same thing, right?
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about, the stats aren't there, but guess what? The wins are. I mean, what do you prefer? It's essentially the same equation here.
You got to have a certain amount of wins to make the playoffs, and that's what the Birds are doing.
Yeah, so
Well,
I thought it was
Hurts-
fascinating.
Jalen Hurts has a ring to say you can do it this way. The Phillies do not. The Phillies have had a history of not scoring against good pitching.
No, I agree with you. And this was the concern I brought up on the Nuggets throughout the week, right? Like, how much are we going to trust the bottom of the lineup to get it done? And they've been getting it done against the bullpens, right? And they've been hot, and you've had guys like Stott, you've had guys like Bader, Otto Kemp come up with these big hits, right? But how long are they going to be able to carry you? That's when you're going to need those superstars. They have to show up. The Schwarbers of the world. You're going to need a lot from Trey Turner when he comes back. Bryce Harper as well. Those guys have to show up in the postseason. The Phillies will go nowhere if those guys aren't hitting the baseball and aren't hot. That's why it's like concerning. All right, they're playing good baseball. They're scorching. The bottom of the lineup's hitting on all cylinders right now. But what's it going to be in 2 weeks? And we know how much can change in just a couple of weeks in the game of baseball, especially when it goes from regular season to postseason. The game changes.
It does change, and it'll be interesting because, Turner will probably go back to the top of the lineup. So it'll be Turner, Schwarber, Harper. I guess Real Muto will stay in the fourth hole come playoff time. I mean, after that, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Bader. Does he hit behind Real Muto in the 5 hole? Marsh has been hitting there in games that he plays against right-handed pitching. So you could go Marsh 5th, Bader 6th. Now you're getting into the 7, 8, 9 where you're looking at possibly, because Boehm would now hit at the bottom half of the order. That's a much better spot for him. He doesn't have to hit in that middle of the order. So you have a guy, that, listen, Boehm is a frustrating dude. I get it. But he has driven runs home throughout his career. So if you have him hitting in the 7, 8, or he wouldn't be hitting in the 9 hole, I would imagine. But
No, Bryson Stott will be hitting in the 9 hole. We need to leave Bryson Stott in that 9 hole. That's where he needs to stay.
No arguments there. Yeah, Bryson Stott in the 9 hole. And who am I missing that would hit
Kepler.
in the 7th spot? Whoever the other outfield. I don't know, because now if you have Weston Wilson playing left field and Castellanos playing, that would be you're not going to face very many lefties in a game against. If you face the Mets, you would get Minaya most likely, and David Peterson. They could throw Minaya and Peterson against you, or that'd be interesting if the Mets decide, hey, we don't want to see the Marsh-Kepler duo. We'll throw the lefties. Because the Phillies really struggled against Nolan McLean. Could they throw him, Minaya, and Peterson against you in a series? Now, if you're the Dodgers, I would imagine you want to make sure that Blake Snell pitches in one of those games against you. What do you do with Kershaw? Now, Kershaw's pitching tonight for the last time ever at Dodger Stadium in a regular season game. They also have, Yamamoto. They have Glasnow. The Phillies hit Glasnow around a little bit the last time they saw him. It'll be really interesting to see how the Dodgers sit their pitching up, especially because the Dodgers are going to have to play in the wild card round now. So which 3 guys are they going to use in that series? Lots still to happen between now and October 4th.
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies, listen, they clinch early, but a lot has to happen, right? And, we mentioned Harrison Bader. Bader, to me, and I thought about this last night as I was doing my YouTube show, and it just dawned on me. You know what Harrison Bader is? He is the glue to this lineup. And you know what they had been missing? A Gene Segura type player. They're not the same type of player, but they're the same type of player in the sense that they are both scrappy. They're kind of that glue player. Harrison Bader, Gene Segura. Remember, Gene Segura kind of helped lift them in that postseason run during 2022. It was a scrappy. He was getting everything going, right? He was that type of player. I equate that to Harrison Bader a little bit. And the Phillies, it seems like they've been missing that scrappy player that's going to elevate this team with some energy. I feel like that's the Bader experiment that you have now. I think it's a little bit like that.
Hold on. I'll have to – you better hope not, by the way. You better hope Bader is not Gene Segura. Gene Segura –
No. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. No. He is in the sense of elevating you in the sense of getting this team going, right? Like with a spark. He is that type of player.
I don't think you're missing what I'm saying here, because Gene Segura, other than the game against the Cardinals where he had the hit, which, yes, he was a spark in that game, the rest of the playoffs, he hit .214. He struck out 14 times with no home runs and a .250 on-base percentage. I don't know what kind of spark that was. Yes, he had the hit in the Cardinal game. That was a big hit that won them that basically jump-started the whole thing, because if they lost that game, they were down in that first game. But that's the only game that he was really a spark in.
Yeah, but I think he's a better version of that, and I think they've been missing that. Right? He came up in big moments before, Gene Segura, to get you to the postseason as well. So I think they were missing that type of player.
I'm hoping for more from Bader than what I got from Gene Segura.
I understand.
That would be like, to me, Bader, even just the way he glides the balls in the outfield, it's amazing. Like, he's like very unorthodox sometimes looking when he's at these balls in the outfield. It's like, but he just adds something that this team has just never.
Is he like a Shane Victorino, would you say?
That's not a bad one. I mean, Victorino was an energy guy that could hit up and down the lineup.
And Gene wasn't an energy guy? Gene wasn't an energy guy?
No, I don't look at Gene Segura as an energy guy at all.
I think he was an energy guy. I absolutely do. There were so many good things that his teammates had to say about him before. And I think Bader is that type of player.
Segura's a great dude by all accounts. I mean, but I don't look at him as like this energy guy. Realistically, maybe I'm forgetting it. This is 2022, but I remember him having the ball that he squirted through the right side against the Cardinals. Other than that, did he have like some moment that I'm missing?
There was that one play, I believe it was in either the NLCS or the World Series, where he got the first on like this infield hit. He was able to get to first base. It wasn't the Cardinals one, but he was like that guy that held the team together, and he was a scrappy type of player defensively as well. And that's kind of what you're getting out of Bader on a bigger level. That's why I'm equating him to Gene a little bit, and they've been missing that, I felt like, over the past couple of years, right? You sign Trey Turner, stock goes to second base. You didn't have that kind of energy and that glue guy. I felt that's what Gene gave you.
Yeah, we'd see a little differently. I like the Victorino reference a little bit better for Bader. Although I think he's better than Victorino. Bader has been anyway. Look, Harrison Bader's been in the league for a while. We're all acting like this guy has been an MVP caliber player.
Some years he's been a platoon player, and other years he's played every day. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of mixed bag.
And listen, he's been unbelievable, and what he's added to this team has been energy and has been amazing. I mean, he's having an unbelievable season with the Phillies. I mean, since he's come, but keep in mind, he was in Minnesota this year and was hitting .250. So it wasn't like when they got him, this guy was like an MVP candidate. He's come over here and hit .331 with a .389. So yes, he has given the Phillies a lift, but he has been in the league. He was with the Mets last year. He had .236 with the Mets last year. The Mets, basically, they got rid of him. Cincinnati, he hit .161 with Cincinnati in 2023. In that year, he was with the Yankees. Before that,
he had a good run with the Yankees.
He did hit .240 with the Yankees.
Good postseason, though. I think he had a couple moments.
Yes. So again, Bader is a career .248 hitter with a .313 on base percentage. Those are not great numbers, but yes, he has given this team a spark. But you better hope that he can keep this up, because if he doesn't keep up what he's doing, one of the reasons why this team has taken off is because you're getting contributions from guys that you don't expect. Marsh, Kepler, Bader. You need Castellanos, Schwarber, Harper, Real Muto. And if you don't get it from them and those other guys that we're talking about, the Baders of the world, you're getting stuff from Weston Wilson, hit a home run the other night. If you don't get it from the main guys and you're counting on the Baders and those of the world, that's not a winning formula.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that point. This is a team that feeds off of each other, right? And it feels like if one guy's down, the whole rest of the lineup is not going to contribute. So it goes both ways. If one guy's scorching hot, the whole lineup's going to be scorching hot. It's just how this team has been and the way it's built. It's, sometimes you can't explain stuff in sports. This is one of those things you can't explain. They all go hot. They all go cold at the same time. You better hope they stay hot throughout the postseason. They don't have to play the wild card series. Guess what? That's less time for them to fall apart, right? They can get hot and hopefully stay hot for the most part. But I want to get a second nugget in today. I want to talk a little Eagles. I want to get this nugget in that we didn't get in yesterday. And it was a Zach Berman tweet from True Media Sports as well. This is where the stat comes from. And it was talking about A.J. Brown in man-to-man coverage. So the Eagles have faced man-to-man coverage on only 10% of dropbacks this season. That is down from 27% last season. Brown has run 8 routes versus man coverage. He's been targeted on 4 of those. He's run 47 routes versus zone coverage. He's been targeted on 5 of those. And I want to play the A.J. Brown audio from the Jordan Schultz podcast from about a week or so ago. Take a listen to A.J. Brown and what he has said about facing man coverage and zone coverage.
I know I'm in the game because, the coverage is getting rotated to me every single play, and even if it's underneath catches to Dallas Goddard or Johan getting his one-on-one opportunity, he making the big grab on the post, that's how I know I'm still in this game and in this game, and I'm still affecting this game. So regardless of if I was touching the ball or not, I'm still making an impact on the game.
So clearly Kevin Patullo is going to have to find a way to design plays for A.J. Brown that can beat that zone coverage because they're not facing a lot of man. They only faced 27% last season. This year it's only 10%. So you're going to have to find a way to get A.J. Brown open to beat those coverages.
Yeah, and I think that, listen, the one thing that we talked about earlier in the week was we played the Dan Orlovsky bite was that they ran 10 routes with him, and they were the same 10. Like, they've got to show a variety. A.J. Brown is an elite receiver. The only way to really stop him is if I know what you're going to do. And if you're going to run the same thing 10 times, it makes me feel a lot more comfortable if I'm calling coverage for that. Hey, this is what he keeps doing. We're going to be able to do this because if you don't know what he's doing, you got to keep him on your heels. So, to me, it is a travesty to have him run such basic things over and over again when you have a weapon like that. And he did say, no, I'm not hurt. I'm not a decoy. It's just that the way they were covering me, they just basically were doubling me the whole time.
That's where Jalen, though, can really just come into play, take that over, and give A.J. Brown a chance to catch the ball. Give him a 50-50 ball. Let him make a contested catch. Like he did with Smith last week. Like he did with Devontae last week. So Jalen can take some risks in getting A.J. Brown involved, not just these 5 receptions for 27 yards. Yeah.
The
6
two
yards
of them combined. The two of them combined have less than 150 yards this year.
Is it on Patullo, though, to create play designs to get A.J. Brown the ball, right? If it's clear they're not going to face a ton of man coverage, is it on him to create routes to get him open and help Jalen out as well to get him the ball as the first read?
Of course it is. And number one, I say all the time, with A.J. Brown, a guy like him, he should run those slants, those little tiny, curls, and you get him the ball in short space and then let him make guys have to tackle him. The last thing anybody wants to try to do is tackle A.J. Brown in space. So it doesn't always have to be shots down the field with him. It could be a little 5-yard curl where he catches the ball. Now he's one-on-one with a corner. He just sticks that stiff arm right through the guy's chest and drives him for another 3 yards. You got to get him ball in space and let him make guys have to tackle him. I can't imagine being a safety or a corner and want to have to come up in the open field and try to tackle that man. So those are creative ways that you can get him and let him get yards after the catch. The other stuff, the down the field shots.
That's Jalen?
Well, it's, we talked about this the other day, and we were talking about Jalen Hurts not pulling the trigger on some shots down the field and basically just trying to take care of the football and not wanting to turn the ball over. But you can take the play that he throws to Smith.
Right.
That play, you don't have to do it all the time. You can just keep it in your back pocket and say, hey, you know what? I know we can take a shot down the field right now. We've been going short. Now let's take that shot and let him be the one-on-one guy.
Now you also have A.J. Brown, the player, and A.J. Brown, the player who wants the ball, needs the ball to feel involved in the game.
Well,
I'm not here for participation trophies.
We haven't heard
A.J.
anything.
Brown.
We haven't heard anything from him yet on that. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
He seems like he's been a good sport.
That's
yeah.
fine.
I think he'll get one of those games like against Pittsburgh the one year he has like 3 touchdowns, right? I think that's going to happen at some point. I can just feel it, the way things have been going.
You say that, but he really hasn't been involved. Like the Super Bowl, what was his game in the Super Bowl? He wasn't really.
Keep in mind, Barkley averages 166 yards against the Rams, more than any other opponent he's ever faced. Last year he faced the Rams twice. He went over 200 both games. So this might not be the Browns.
It might not be this week, but I think it's going to happen at some point. You're going to see that big A.J. Brown game, and everyone's going to be singing Kumbaya again. Oh, they got everyone involved, right? All right, that's the Nuggets today, 2-pack.
That's Nick's Nuggets today. They're brought to you by the Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. Thanks, Nick.
All right, guys.
That's
Peace.
a glass half full right there. I see a glass half full of a beer, or is a glass half empty? Which one is it from Earnshaw?
That was a full beer for that guy there.
Yeah, that's a full one. That's a dark one, too.
Sports Bash is live at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township. Happy hour going until 6 o'clock tonight. Coming up next in the 5 o'clock hour, One Thought, every game with Casey Joyner. That's next. But first, I need caller number 7 right now at 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You are entered to win Eagles-Giants Thursday night tickets for the Thursday night football game at MetLife Stadium. Caller 7, you must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate Wednesday next week, 9306 Amherst Avenue. The Sports Bash will be live, and one lucky winner is walking out of there with a pair of tickets to see the Eagles and Giants Thursday night football game on October the 9th at MetLife Stadium. Caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, good luck. Casey Joyner has One Thought every game coming up next on the Sports Bash. All right, 5 o'clock hour coming to you live from Chickies and Pete's, Egg Harbor Township. What's up, everybody? Mike Gill in the Sports Bash. Josh Hennings back at the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Pete G is my on-site producer. And the 5 o'clock hour, we start with Casey Joyner's One Thought Every Game. It's brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today. BMW Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. Casey Joyner from The Athletic is back for another edition of One Thought Every Game. He joins us now on the Sports Bass Live. Now, I'm at Chickies and Pete's, which is kind of like a regionalized sports bar here, and it's happy hour, so it's pretty crowded, and people are starting to have a couple of libations for the game tonight.
Yeah.
We've got the, of course, the Dolphins and the Bills, and you can hear that game on 97.3 ESPN. But more importantly, Casey, we got the Eagles and the Rams this week. We're going to dive into that one first, as always, and kind of get a little bit more than one thought, because the Rams gave the Eagles all they could handle last year in the playoff game. In the regular season game, Philadelphia won that game pretty handily. But in neither game could the Rams stop Saquon Barkley. Over 200 yards both time. Is this a Barkley week for the Eagles?
Should be. They always wanted it to be a Barkley week. They're glad if it gets to be one. But, yeah, the Rams, they are – if you're going to go attack their defense, if you're going to go attack what they do, I mean, you have physical, you have defenses that are just smash mouth defense, and you have defenses that are athletic defense. I wrote about this in a book many years ago on things, and the Rams are more of an athletic defense. When you've got an athletic defense, or their speed defense, or things you want to do, and mind you, they can rush the passer, they can do some things, but that is a team that you want to punch them in out of the plus. I want to get Staley out of those two high coverage shells. If he sits back there two safeties and he could do what he wants, you're bringing that safety down. I want you to be more limited in what you're going to do, because if they could get him to do that, maybe they'll get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to finally put up some more fantasy points than they have this year, because they have been stinkers in fantasy.
Yes, they have it. But is this a week that you can get those two guys involved? Because we're looking at the numbers. Barkley averages 166 a game against the Rams in 3 games. He went over 200 both games last year. But it feels like the Rams are susceptible to the air game.
They can be. If you're going to go after their air game, remember they just lost one of their starting cornerbacks, Witherspoon. He's gone for a while and such, and that's a problem, because who they have in behind him, it's not they've got a situation there, because they got Emmanuel Forbes, and I rate Emmanuel Forbes as one of those green-rated quarterbacks, and they say, mind you, they said, look, we've got multiple starters here, we got 4 starters, and sometimes we're going to have somebody bench him. Like, look, there's a reason Forbes hasn't been in your lineup, because he's not that good. And Brown, again, they move people around. The Eagles doing, the Rams can too, but Brown would likely face Forbes in coverage. So if I'm the Eagles and I could get them to start paying attention to the run more, and I could see that Brown versus Forbes matchup, I want to go at that quite often. I would ideally, honestly, want to get Brown 10 targets. I don't know if they'll do that, but if we could get 10 high percentage passes in that direction, Brown can make a big play on at least 2 of them.
All right, one thing in last year's game, the Eagles blitz Matthew Stafford. They don't blitz a whole heck of a lot. They did blitz 11 times last week against the Chiefs. So, in that game, in the playoffs, Stafford was 6 of 12 for 55 yards and 2 sacks when he was blitzed. So, do you expect that Vic Fangio dials up the blitz again this week?
The Rams have faced a blitz on 30.3% of their passes so far this year. Only thing is, their average time to throw, 2.46 seconds. It's one of the lowest in the league. It says that, all right, we know you're blitzing. We're just going to throw stuff short. We're just going to go ahead and get out of here quickly. We don't want Stafford holding the ball. And mind you, if you're the Rams, you're going to understand why you don't want Stafford holding the ball, because it's an injury waiting to happen if it gets hit very hard. So if I'm Fangio, I don't know that I want to blitz, because, I mean, you blitz, you can get them to, you can get them to respond. So you go, okay, they're going to do hot reads, things of that nature. You can get them to do certain things. So you do that if you can get them to do something that you want them to do. I don't blitz to really try to get an actual pass rush, because I just don't think the Rams are going to allow it to happen. Stafford's going to get out of there too quickly for that to happen. So only do it if you're trying to set a trap in coverage.
I guess the next question would be, can the Eagles get pressure without blitzing with their defensive front against this Ram offensive line?
Oh, boy. Look, they've got a 39.7%.
That sounds like a no.
Yeah. The thing is, I look at 2 metrics to look at pass rush. Sack percentage is what you're looking for. Sacks and sack percentage, you want that. The Eagles are terrible. They're 2 sacks, 3.1% near the bottom of the league. You look at the pass pressure rate, 39.7%, and they're only blitzing just under 21% of the time for the season. That's a good number. 39.7 you can live with. It's not upper league, but you got to be 50 to be at the top and things, but that's a good number. You can deal with that. So I think they can get some pressure. But Stafford is the sort of guy who you can goad him into making mistakes. You can get him to do it. And if I'm Fangio, that's more what I'm thinking. I'd love to get some hits in the guy because, again, he's not that durable. Maybe you can knock him out of the game. But if I'm them, we're going, look, if I can't knock him out of the game, I want him to be overconfident and try and make some plays because the Eagles still have a really strong secondary. I think they can make some plays back there if they can get the Rams to do it. But the only problem is you got to be real careful with that because you do have Adams and you do have Nakua, and those are two dangerous players if you try and lead them one-on-one coverage too much.
All right, we'll get the biggest factor in this game and who KC thinks will win the game coming up in just a little bit. But right now, one thought, every game, let's get into it. Tonight, you got the Dolphins and the Bills. It's obviously a mismatch, 12.5-point favorite for Buffalo. 49.5 is the over-under. And in this game, when you take a look at Buffalo, since 2020, the Bills are an NFL best 25-6 in the division. They also score about 29 points per game. It doesn't feel like the Dolphins' night.
No, it doesn't. And you look at all their matchups and things. I mean, a couple places where the Dolphins might have, like I might put in, I put in Tyreek Hill in a PPR league in fantasy, but I mean, you're stretching to find things that they could do well. The Bills are doing a lot of things very well. I don't think the Bills will not take this game seriously. It is a short week and all that, and I think the Bills are like, hey, let's go ahead and just knock these guys out. Because if you beat the Dolphins tonight, you get a de facto 4-game lead against the key division opponent. So let's go ahead and get it out of the way. I think the Bills will be highly motivated, and the Dolphins have not looked like that this year. I'm taking the Bills big in this one.
Okay, Bills big in this one. Packers and Browns, it's 1 o'clock. Packers are -7.5. Over under 41.5. Feels like a low-scoring game, but Packers are 10-1 versus non-division opponents. Browns would fit into that. It feels like a mismatch.
It does. Green Bay's got a great rush defense, by the way. So what the Browns want to do, they're going to get Judkins more involved. He's probably going to be a lead back now. He just came back some last week, but they're going to get him involved in an offense. But this is not the matchup you want them to come back with. But Cleveland's defense is pretty good, but they also allowed 34 points last week to Baltimore. Green Bay has all kinds of targets. Tucker Kraft at the talk of the fantasy world and tight end world. So I think Green Bay's going to take this one big.
All right, Colts and Titans. Colts seeking their first 3-0 start. Would be the first time since 2009, and they're doing it with a lot of design run plays. They run the ball 48.2% of the time. The Titans have had all sorts of problems on offense and defense.
They have, and mind you, the Titans actually have solid people in coverage. They're not great, but they're solid. We saw they did in week 1 against Denver. I mean, they can do certainly. They can't stop the run with the darn. They're terrible at it. And I mean, they're next to last in rush yards allowed on playing rush plays. They're just, and you're going up against Jonathan Taylor, who just had a great game against Denver, and you're going up against Daniel Jones. You can scheme him up for 4, 5, 6, 7 plays. I think Colts get their 5th straight win over Tennessee this week.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go to Bengals and Vikings. Vikings -2.5. This is the Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning matchup here. So take what you will with what you saw so far, but Burrow is out for 3 months. It looks like Bengals, though, 2-0, and the Vikings kind of uneven start to their season.
Yeah, they are. And, I mean, Wentz was once an NFL MVP candidate. We all remember that. And Browning, when he filled in a couple years ago for Burrow, he did a solid job. He's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. So, I mean, this is pretty good. The thing is, you got Brian Flores has a really inventive game plan, and Browning has already thrown interceptions. So if you're the Bengals, you want to run the ball. But I'm looking at that going, Minnesota's at home. Wentz is pretty good. They also have Justin Jefferson. The Bengals have a lousy secondary. So I'm taking the Vikings, but mostly because of home field in that one.
All right, Carson Wentz, yes, we do remember those MVP days here in Philadelphia. One thought every game, Steelers, Patriots. Pats are favored here, 1.5, over under 44. Steelers have given up 31.5 points per game for the first 2. No D for Pittsburgh. No steel curtain here.
Absolutely not. They're 29th in points allowed. They have terrible pass rush metrics. They have terrible run defense metrics. And the Patriots, they got Stevenson and Henderson. Stevenson's the lead. We all kind of thought Henderson was going to be the lead or be a platoon, but Stevenson's the lead. But still, Henderson's going to get his carries. New England's able to stop the run, too. They've only had 117 rush yards this season, so I don't know that Warren and Gainwell are going to get much going. Having said that, I think it's going to be a close game because the Steelers still have more talent than the Patriots, but that's that rush defense just really bothers me about Pittsburgh, so I'm taking New England, but by a real small margin.
One thought every game. Let's go to this one's Jets and Bucks here. You know, the Bucks coming off of a nice win there, down to the wire. Jets just can't get anything going, and now they've lost their quarterback. Buccaneers looking to be one of 7 teams to start the season 2-0 against the spread, and they are favored in this one by 6.5 against the fieldless Jets.
Yeah, and that's a big loss for them. I mean, Tyrod Taylor is he's really limited, and you've got Mayfield looking really good. You've got the receiving core looking good. Ibuka, he's 3 touchdowns so far. It's a really good rookie receiver. The Jets could go after the Bucs secondary. That's the weakness of the Bucs. But again, you're trying to do it with Tyrod Taylor, and you only have one really good receiver. I just think I'm looking at that going. I just don't see past the victory for New York because they can't go after the weakness. I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah, they gave up 30 last week, too, to Buffalo. They're going to have to go down to the Heat in Tampa. Raiders and Commanders. One thought every game. Commanders favored 3.5. Jaden Daniels kind of a question mark. This one to be Marcus Mariota, and the line dropped 3 points because of that. So you see how much they think he is important here. The teams have split the last 14 meetings. Raiders' offense struggled on Monday night.
Yeah, this isn't looking like Super Bowl 18. We're not that's not that level of play. Mariota's a solid backup. He's not great. He's a solid backup, and I think they can get some things done with him. But the Raiders, they haven't been able to get they got the vertical game going in week 1, but that didn't carry to last week. Genti is just what happened. I mean, this guy looked like he looked like a Barry Sanders in college. It doesn't look like that here. And I look at the Raiders, and that makes me think the Raiders' production floor is less consistent than Washington's. And because it's an early East Coast kickoff, and it's at home for Washington, I'll take Washington. I don't like either team. If Jandals plays, obviously, you'd like Washington a lot more. But if he doesn't, I still take the Commanders by a small
they got
margin.
a lot of injury issues over there. Washington does. That game, 1 o'clock. The Raiders and Commanders. Let's go to the AFC North. Falcons and Panthers. One thought every game. Casey Joyner, Falcons are favored by 5.5 over the Panthers on the road here. So this is a big spot here. The teams have split the series each of the past 5 years. So this isn't a fait accompli for Atlanta.
It's not, but Atlanta figured out, they've got Bijan. He tells us now it's Bijan after he changed. It's like now he's back to Bijan. Okay, well, you got Bijan, you got Algier, and they ran 39 times last week. That's the more rush attempts they had in any game last season. They were trying to go run heavy last year. So, hey, if they're going to go run heavy in matchup, last week was big, but this week, I mean, the Panthers are terrible against playing rushing plays. So I think Atlanta's going to go try and push for 40 this week. And I just don't think Carolina has the kind of firepower to keep up with that. I don't think they'll slow Atlanta down. Taking Atlanta by a good margin.
All right, blowout there. All right, one thought every game. Let's go to the AFC South. It's Texans-Jaguars. Texans would be 0-3 with a loss here. Jags can get to 2-1. They are favored here by 1.5.
Yeah, and the Texans, they can't block. They're terrible pass blocking, and was it Dan Reeves just said years ago, said, if you've got a good offensive line, you can do anything you want. Of course, the flip side of that is if you have a bad offensive line, you can't do anything you want. He's talking on offense. So, I mean, they got the talent, but they can't get anything blocked. If you can't get anything blocked, I mean, that's a terrible thing. By the way, Travis Hunter, he's playing almost as many snaps of defense as he on offense. And he's got a two-way player there, so that helps their secondary and such. And I just think Jacksonville has more offensive talent, and it's in Jacksonville. So take it Jacksonville, not by a lot.
Wow.
But the Texans' offense is tough.
A lot of people thought the Texans were the clear AFC South favorites. They would fall to 0-3 if Casey Joyner's right. One thought every game. Let's go to the 4 o'clock games. Broncos-Chargers. Chargers in first place in the AFC West. They would be 3-0 with a win here. They're favored by 2.5. Broncos would fall to 1-2 after losing to the Colts last week.
Denver's got really good pass coverage, but they haven't played at that level this year. They're getting inconsistent production from Bo Nix. He ranks tied for second in interceptions thrown. You're playing the Jesse Minter defense. It's in L.A., and Jesse Minter will be a head coach soon. I'm a Michigan guy. I know he was really good at Michigan. He's every bit as good at the Chargers. And Justin Herbert, he ranks third in passing yards. So you add all it up, I'm looking at the Broncos. I thought the Broncos would win this division. Right now, I'm thinking the Chargers are going to win this division. I'm not saying they're going to blow this thing away, but I just see many more paths to victory in this one for L.A.
All right, L.A. Would be 3-0 with the win. Let's go one thought every game, Saints and Seahawks. Seahawks, good defense. Saints hung in there last week against the Niners. Seahawks are, though, favored by 7.5 over a touchdown spread at the 12s.
Yeah, and in New Orleans, I mean, look, Spencer Rattler threw 3 touchdowns last week. Who would have thought that? They've got a really good dink and dunk offense, but hey, if you want to dink and dunk, okay, you're playing a Mike McDonald defense, and you're going to Seattle to play them. You've got the 12s, and Rattler against the 12s, I don't like that at all. Walker and Charbonnet combined for big rushes last week. Don't know if Charbonnet's going to go this week, but if he doesn't, Walker's well rested, so he could go. The Steelers only gained 4.5 yards per play, and they have some good offensive talent. The Saints do not have their offensive talent, so I think the Seahawks are going to win and probably cover in this one.
All right, one thought every game. Cowboys, Bears. Bears have been a complete mess. 52 burger they gave up last week. Cowboys, back and forth they went with the Giants. Of course, they lost to Philly. But they are a 1.5 dog on the road here. So people, the odds makers think that the Bears can win this one.
Shootouts are 50-50 propositions. We've said that many times over the years, and this game has every indication that it's going to go there. With Chicago giving up 52 points last week. That's terrible. But Dallas has a lot of firepower, and Chicago, it really comes down to Caleb Williams, and I think he'll do really well in this game, but he's also been somewhat mistake-prone, and I just think Dak Prescott's a guy who won't be quite as mistake-prone, and I like the Cowboys' run game a bit better than I like the Bears' run game. I just think if you're going to go into shootout, I like the Cowboys 60-40 to win a shootout, so I'll take Dallas in this one.
All right, you can listen to that game on 97.3 ESPN after the Eagles and the Rams. We'll pick up coverage of the Cowboys and the Bears. One thought every game, Cardinals and Niners. This will be on our sister station, Rock 104.1. 49ers, it looks like they're going to have to go with maybe Mac Jones again. We'll see if Purdy's back for this one. Cardinals, Kyler Murray, they were up big last week. Then they let the Carolina Panthers back into that game. They go on the road here, but both teams 2-0 in the NFC West. Niners a small 1.5 favorite.
I wonder if the Cardinals are a paper tiger. You beat New Orleans and Carolina. It's just okay. You've got, all right, you're good, but I mean, are you that good? The Niners beat Seattle. They've got Christian McCaffrey is looking really good. The Cardinals had terrible pass blocking, pass rushing metrics. So if they try to go shootout mode, that's not going to be good. I'm looking at, and Mac Jones looked really good last week, and you had the potential for Purdy to play. And Mac Jones looked, like I said, it wasn't as good as Purdy. Well, actually, his numbers were almost as good as what you would expect from Purdy and things. It's in San Francisco. There's enough there to pick San Francisco. I got to say dominant because Arizona's still a good team, but I just think San Francisco's better.
All right, one thought every game. We're going to go to Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs, obviously 0-2. They're going to go on the road to Jersey to play the Giants here. They are a 5.5-point favorite on the road, but the Giants showed some life last week, and on paper they have a good defense. Could the Chiefs fall in the swamps?
Well, the thing is, Andy Reid, I mentioned this many times before, that he once told John Clayton he'd throw on every down if he could, and he was only half joking. He's a pass-first coach. You break down his running game stuff, he's really creative in the run game stuff. He throws things in there like, wow, you expect it from like run-centric coaches. He knows how to play call running game if he wants to. The Giants are the worst run defense in the league, hands down. Isaiah Pacheco is going to get the ball a lot. In fact, I think they're going to rotate Kareem Hunt in there. They may not go the Atlanta route for 40 rushes, but they're going to run the ball a lot. And I think it's going to give them something on offense to be able to get with. And your Russell Wilson, he had the most fantasy points on vertical passes than any quarterback since 2022. So the best vertical game in 3 years. You don't do that against the Spagnuolo defense. I'm taking Kansas City.
All right, one thought every game. We go to Monday night. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Lions and Ravens. When this started, man, this is going to be a mega game. Lions obviously did not look good one week. They scored 52 the next week. Buffalo had a big lead, lost it. They're two 1-1 teams that have had kind of a hard team to read. We think that the Ravens, though, favored by 4.5 for the better team.
Yeah, I think so. And I just keep thinking back to the Lions. The last time they visited Baltimore, they lost 38-6. And that was when they were starting to be the Lions at that point. They had got off to a good start in 2023. And then, wow, what happened there? They got punched in the mouth and couldn't handle it. I don't think this will be a repeat of that. But I just keep thinking Detroit, hey, we get in the high-scoring games. I don't think they like getting in scoreboard shootouts. I think, they got into it out of necessity last year. I think they don't want to. I think Baltimore is kind of more comfortable in those games than Detroit is because they have a better defense, and neither team's good at stopping the run. But, if you're looking at Baltimore, if Detroit's not good to stop the run, I mean, as good as their backs are, I worry about Tractor Cito at home and things. So it's more because it's at home because I think Baltimore plays better in shootout games, so I'll take the Ravens. But, again, I think it's kind of a toss-up game because I don't think the Lions are going to lay an egg like they did 3 years ago.
All right, that's one thought every game. Casey Joyner from The Athletic here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. We go back to the Eagles and the Rams, and when you look at this game, what is the matchup that you are looking at that will decide this game?
Matchup I'm looking at is, the Rams need their pass game to go to win. I don't think Kyron Williams is going to be a guy who can make it go. They need their pass game to go. And I still look at the Eagles secondary, and I know they had some trouble here and there, but I got a lot of faith in Fangio and what he can do. And I think they can goad Matthew Stafford into making a couple of picks. And what we've seen from the Eagles this year is the Eagles, hey, you know what? We don't care what the matchup is. We're going to play high percentage football, not turn that ball over. We're going to do that as often as we can unless you can make us not do it. I don't think the Rams defense can make them not do it. So Stafford makes a couple mistakes. Jalen doesn't. Eagles win.
There you go. Casey Joyner likes the Eagles. No mistakes from Jalen Hurts. Matthew Stafford makes the big mistake, and that's how it might all go down. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. It all starts with the pregame coverage at noon. Merrill and Mike call the action at 1 o'clock. And Casey Joyner's back on Tuesday for One Thought every game as we recap week number 3. Unbelievable. We're moving and shaking quickly, man.
We are flying by. It happens every time.
Take it easy.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
Casey Joyner, everybody, here on the Sports Bash from The Athletic, and, of course, at Casey Joyner TFS on the X platform. And Casey Joyner's appearance, as always, is brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today. BMW of Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. When we come back, what are the odds? We'll take a look at where everything is after 2 weeks in the NFL. That's next. This is the Sports Bash. And right now, if you want to enter to win tickets to see the Eagles and Giants Thursday night football game, 5 fastest text messages that we get at 609-403-0973. You must include your name, where you're from, and the word Eagles Trip. Eagles Trip, your name and where you're from. 5 fastest text messages right now. 609-403-0973. The first 5 text messages we get, you are entered for a chance to win a trip to see the Eagles and Giants game. Remember, you must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate on Wednesday. Next week, we will be live for a Sports Bash show where one lucky winner will be selected to go on the bus with the tailgate party and all the Eagles fans to go see the Eagles and Giants. 5 fastest text messages right now, 609-403-0973. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, a Thursday Night Live at Chickies and Pete's here in Egg Harbor Township. Go where the Eagles players go, the one and only official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles. Special Bud Light Kelly Green aluminum cans all season long. Fan-friendly locations throughout the Philadelphia and South Jersey region, including game sound on during every Eagles game, just like being at the stadium. Got to have the sound on. Got to.
For the Phillies games, the Eagles games, every single game. It's a must.
100%. Especially Phillies playoff games.
Yeah.
You know the story that we went to watch a game at this place in Cape May one time, the World Series.
They didn't have it on.
They had the sound on, and then they had a band come on at 10 o'clock.
And
when the band came
going on,
the game was still going on. The band started playing. Sound went off. You know what ended up happening?
The no-hitter?
No, Alvarez home run off of Alvarado.
Oh, okay.
I mean, literally, that guy strummed his guitar, and that pitch went out over the fence. It won't be back there for a game. Got to have the sound on.
Have to.
All right, what are the odds? We're going to ask you guys a series of questions regarding the odds through 2 weeks. See if you guys know what they are, all right?
All right.
Josh, you ready?
I'm here.
How you doing back there?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Regular season MVP. Who you got right now? Who's the favorite?
Jeez, through 2 games?
Yep.
Probably Josh Allen, I guess.
I mean,
Allen?
my guess would be Josh Allen, but I mean, there might be a possibility that it's. Nah, I'll go with Josh Allen too. It's the only guy that makes sense at this point.
Well, Josh Allen's plus 320, and Lamar Jackson is plus 320. They're tied for the top spot. Jordan Love plus 700. Justin Herbert plus 800.
I can
Jaden
see
Daniels.
Herbert, yeah.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels plus 15. Patrick Mahomes plus 16. Baker Mayfield 2,000. Jalen Hurts is 2,000. By the way, Stafford is 3,000. Dak Prescott 3,500. I don't know if there's a guy that I read off that you feel like you can get a little value on there.
Oh, I mean, I was going to say that you mentioned Herbert. Was he plus 800?
Yep.
I mean, that was the first name that you said. I was like, okay, that one, yeah.
If he keeps it up, yeah. I mean, if LA can continue this, I mean, yeah, that'd be valuable right there.
I mean, remember, there's been multiple years that Herbert has thrown for gaudy stats, but the team hasn't been good. If he could have gaudy stats and the team is good, it's probably a
That's
good
what
resume.
they've been missing, right? The record.
Yeah, the 1 year I had him on my fantasy team, he stunk.
Of course. Never draft him again.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who you got?
Ashton Genty.
Oh, really? Genty?
That was my preseason pick.
He hasn't done much, as
He
Casey
has not
Joyner
done much at all.
point out.
Cam Ward has not done much at all.
True.
Travis Hunter hasn't done anything.
Genty, by the way, has 30 carries for 81 yards.
Okay, not.
Yeah.
How about the receiver from Tampa, Egbuka?
Buka, that's the guy right there.
Okay, he's plus 450.
Yep.
Genty's plus 500. Cam Ward plus 550. But the leader in the clubhouse is Tyler Warren at plus 350, the tight end from the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, he's certainly getting the looks from Daniel Jones, so that makes sense.
Big time. Not a lot of guys on this list. Travis Hunter plus 1,800 that you're like running to the window to go cash on. So Warren plus 350. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Who you got? 2 weeks in. Who's the leaders? This was a runaway, by the way.
This is
How
a
about Jahad
runaway.
Campbell?
I was going to say, what about Campbell?
Yeah, I'll throw Jahad Campbell in there.
Okay, so you got value play there. That's plus 900 for Jahad Campbell. I'm surprised Makuba isn't actually higher than, because he has a sack and an interception.
True.
By the way, Makuba's plus 4,000.
That's a great value play.
You want to get in on that for some value there. But right now, far and away the favorite at plus 190 is Abdul Carter. It's not really all that close. By the way, Campbell's next at plus 900.
Here's a problem with Carter, and that is, is that team going to give him enough opportunities to put up the stats?
You would think they'd be on defense all day long. They can't score except for against the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, the defense not looked that great the first 2 weeks, so.
It looked decent the first night against Washington. Last week it got blitzed, though. It was terrible. So, I don't know. I was surprised by that. All right, let's go to Offensive Player of the Year. This is generally...
This is Saquon's award from last year.
Yes.
I'm going to go – I would go Lamar, I guess.
Well, he's the MVP.
All right, so he cannot – okay.
Well, he's not even, to be honest with you, quarterbacks even on the odds for this position.
Wow, that's wild.
Offensive Player of the Year. Well, the first one
Can I
is
go Daniel Jones? He's had a great start to the year.
Josh
offensively.
Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs.
The way you responded to that means it's no.
I do not see him.
Herbert?
No, he's plus
Oh,
3,500.
no, there's no quarterbacks, he said.
The only quarterback that I see is Josh Allen is plus 4,000. Baker Mayfield plus 6,000. I mean, so generally this is not a quarterback award.
James Cook, he had a great week last
Cook
week.
did have a good game, by
Cook's
the
a
way.
good name.
Cook is plus 3,000. The leader right now is Derrick Henry at plus 650, followed by Saquon at plus 850, Bijan Robinson plus 850, and the guy you're going to see this weekend, Puka Nacua, plus 1,100.
Yeah, he had a long touchdown run, I saw.
All right. Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year. Wait, who do you give that?
Micah?
Yeah, I was going to say Parsons.
Micah Parsons, plus 390. Myles Garrett, plus 500. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for like somebody deep, Jalen Carter, plus 4,500. But remember, he missed a game,
Right.
and I don't know that anybody's looking to vote for him.
You don't think so? You don't think he's going to get a lot of votes for that? Okay.
Right now,
Definitely not Dak's vote.
2 games in, we have a bunch of 2-0 teams. Who's the Coach of the Year?
I mean, it's really early for that, but I mean.
Yeah, it's very early.
Well, the odds would suggest that the first 2 weeks
I would go
do have an impact.
Packers coach LaFleur.
Sirianni?
Plus 900. Sirianni is way down the list, plus 8,000.
Oh,
Shane
that's
Steichen.
ridiculous.
Shane
Steichen.
Steichen
There
is
you
the
go.
favorite,
Yeah.
by the way. Shane Steichen plus 550. As I said, the first 2 weeks seemingly do have some impact here because I can't imagine he was the favorite to be the Coach of the Year.
Any
when
love
the
for
season started.
Shanahan?
2,000.
I mean, he might be a value play because he's now 2-0 with 2 different quarterbacks at this point. And Brock Purdy might miss a second week this week. Can you imagine if they go 3-0 in 2 of those games with Mac Jones as quarterback?
Well, can I get a Raheem Morris at plus 2,000?
Eh.
I mean, meh. They're probably going to be 3-0, that team.
They're barely 2-0.
What about Gannon from Arizona?
He is plus 1,000.
That's an interesting one.
Is Harbaugh on there?
Harbaugh is plus 1,000.
Which one, John or Jim, Pete?
Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, Jim.
You got the Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh, that's Danny Dimes for sure.
Daniel Jones.
Plus 700. He is not the favorite.
Really?
Really?
Christian McCaffrey is plus 180.
Oh, come on.
Dak Prescott plus 220.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson plus 475.
See, that's not the spirit of the award. Just because you got hurt the year before, you're an all-pro to begin with. You get hurt, then you come back from injury, and then you're the comeback player of the
So
year.
you wanted a guy who was essentially benched.
I wanted Daniel Jones. Sam Darnold from last year is a great one.
Well, Daniel Jones is plus 700. I'd like to see you put a couple bucks on
That's
that.
the spirit of the award, right, Josh?
Daniel Jones was basically written off by everybody except for the Indianapolis Colts.
That's
and
the
the Colts
comeback
said,
story.
you know what, I don't care what anyone else thinks. We're going to bring this guy in. We're going to rehabilitate him. He's now 2-0. If he goes on to win, let's say the Colts go, 12 wins this year. How can you not give that guy the award?
You can't give it to CMC. The guy's an all-pro to begin with.
So most regular season rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts is the favorite.
Just for one more year, that's it.
Plus 300. Are you willing to say, you know what, I'm going to take that?
What is Daniel Jones' number on that list? That's what I want to know.
He is not in. He's plus 4,000.
Josh Allen's probably on there.
I mean, I might throw $5 on Daniel Jones of plus 5,000.
Wow. How about that?
I mean, the dude just scrambles around half the time and then chucks it.
Doesn't have 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
This year. Yeah, I just had to pick him up in fantasy.
Me too. I lost that Joe Burrow.
All right.
Me too.
Let's go to Week 3 power rankings. Right now, we did our Fine 5, Ugly 5 yesterday. ESPN.com goes Number 5, Detroit. Number 4, Baltimore. Number 3, Green Bay. Number 2, Philadelphia. And number 1, Buffalo.
Right.
Yes. Now, do you like Baltimore at 1-1 and Detroit at 1-1 above the Rams, Chargers, Tampa, San Fran, Cincinnati, Indianapolis? They are all 2-0. And Arizona's 2-0.
I think that's fair. I mean, before the Burrow injury, you could make an argument for Cincy, but I think that's fair.
I just can't not put the Chargers in the top 5. Like, the way that team has performed, I don't know what's more impressive. Is it the defense or is it the fact that every move that they made this offseason worked?
I think I don't have the Lions in my Fine Five. Yesterday we did our Fine Five, Ugly Five. I don't have the Lions in my Fine Five. I did have Baltimore in there as the number 5. I have the Chargers at number 4. I do agree. I think the Chargers are going to be a problem with that defense.
I mean, that defense is so good. I thought about dropping one of my defenses to get them in fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance that the Chargers start off 3-0 and the Chiefs start off 0-3.
It's true.
The Chiefs,
tough to come back
Chiefs
from.
play the Giants this week.
Well, you say that, but, you know.
It's on the road.
Sunday,
It is at MetLife Stadium. Speaking of MetLife Stadium, listen for that sounder to go off one more time. We have a chance for you to qualify to win tickets to go see the Eagles play the Giants at MetLife Stadium. We're going to be live at Maynard's in Margate next Wednesday to give those tickets away. Tomorrow, we are on the road at Ventnor's Social. Stop out and see us tomorrow at Ventnor's Social. The whole crew will be out on location. We'll have the Lombardi Trophy out there with us, getting you ready for the weekend. Stop out tomorrow and see us at Ventnor's Social on Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor. Mike Gill, this is the Sports Pass Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. And today we are at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township every Monday right here at Chickies and Pete's, or every Thursday, I should say. I forgot what day of the week. Every Thursday we're here at Chickies and Pete's. And you can get the Team 62 combo with a garage beer crafted by the legend himself, Jason Kelsey. It features Chickies and Pete's barbecue burger, crab fries, and a garage beer, with Garage Beer donating portions of the draft beer sales to Team 62 charities. They also have the A.J. Brown Sweet Heat Wings and the B-Doc Impact Nachos.
Oh, B-Doc's got his own nachos now.
That's right. The B-Doc, you want to hear what's in them?
Yeah, sure.
Charred shrimp and pineapple, spicy lime, sliced jalapeno, fresh salsa, cilantro, and Chickies and Pete's famous cheese sauce.
That's
a little different.
Sounds really good.
It's a little different flair
Yeah.
on the nacho there. Going a little charred shrimp and pineapple. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap up the show right here from Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township on 97.3 ESPN. We're getting ready to get out of here on this Thursday night live at Chickies and Pete's. As always, appreciate everybody at Chickies and Pete's. Say what's up to everybody here. It's been a pretty full house for most of the day. The happy hour from 4 to 6. And, of course, the Sports Bash next week. We'll be back in Atlantic City at the Chickies and Pete's at the Tropicana. Tomorrow, check us out at Ventnor Social. We'll be there tomorrow with the Lombardi Trophy. You can stop out, get your picture taken for the last time. It's our last stop with the Lombardi Trophy over at Ventnor Social. Monday, we're back on the road. We'll be over at the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. On Wednesday, we're at Maynard's in Margate. We're giving away a pair of tickets to see the Eagles and Giants game. On Thursday, we're back at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City. And then on Friday next week, we'll be at the Roost at Harbor Pines over in Egg Harbor Township. And we're going to be hanging out for the Ryder Cup. They're going to be having a big deal going on out there. Ryder Cup, golf all day, all sorts of action at the Roost. If you've never been to the Roost, it's a great spot to check out. Really cool spot. Check out the Roost next Friday with us, the Sports Bash live on location. Here's
Better
what's
have
coming
that
up.
gas tank filled up, huh?
Who, us?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be on the road here, there, and everywhere. Saturday, college football right here on 97.3 ESPN. Michigan, Nebraska, Florida, Miami.
Ooh.
Over on Rock 104.1, Auburn, Oklahoma. Then on Sunday, Eagles, Rams, followed by Cowboys, Bears, and Chiefs, Giants. Over on Rock 104.1 at 1 o'clock, Cincinnati, Minnesota, Arizona, San Francisco. That's what we have for you coming up this weekend on 97.3 ESPN. And on our sister station, Rock 104.1. By the way, the Eagles injury report came out today. DNP, Byron Young was the only one on there, and apparently he had a forehead laceration, so he probably couldn't put his helmet on. Other than that, limited. Goddard, McKee, and Will Shipley was back today. Jalen Carter was a full participant for the Eagles. He was on the injury report yesterday as limited, but Shipley is the big one that he was limited because yesterday he was a DNP, and some people thought he could miss like a significant amount of time. There was a lot of reporting, and that's why they brought Bigsby in, because they thought Shipley might be out for a while, but it doesn't appear to be the case. So we got all that information to you here on the Sports Bash. All right, that's about going to do it for us. Don't forget, coming up next, the best of the Sports Bash Power Hour with you guys. Appreciate it as always. No Phils tonight, by the way.
Phillies off, yeah.
Just thinking.
Enjoy your night.
Finally
everyone.
get a night of sleep.
Well, now the weekend, now Friday night's 9:40. You need that extra half hour.
That extra half hour is big.
Those 10:10 starts.
That's a rough. I mean, you could even 10 o'clock would be fine.
Right.
9:40 I can handle a little bit. All right.
You believe those 30 minutes are major.
Crucial.
Yes.
Crucial. Have a great night, everybody. But before I go, I got one more chance for you to qualify to win Eagles-Giants tickets right now. 609-573-3776. Caller 7. You are in for our party at Maynard's in Margate. You must be present to win. Don't forget, you must be there on Wednesday. Next week, September 24th, 2 to 6, the Sports Bash is live at Maynard's in Margate. One lucky winner is going to win a pair of tickets to see the Eagles and Giants game on Thursday Night Football, October the 9th at MetLife Stadium. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You are entered to win those tickets. You'll have transportation to and from MetLife Stadium, 2 tickets to the game, and a huge tailgate party with food, drinks, DJ. Caller 7 right now. We'll see you at Maynard's. Good luck. Have a great night, everybody.